tell you what I did
A
get though.
host always
heck of a
requires a
story to
script.
tell.
Should a host be able to
Thank
capture
you.
If you were one, how would you portray your script?
Or even the
A
attention
host
of a large
always requires a script. If you were one,
a good host?
how would you
Should a host be
portray
able
your
to
script?
capture one's attention?
Treat the words like lyrics as you sing melodiously,
or even the
or
attention
take it
of a
seriously,
large crowd.
like an information session,
What
I tell you what I
personality
did
traits
get,
should
though.
hosts have?
or inject
One
some
heck of a
humor.
story to tell.
Do they have to
We
be
all like some
excitable?
fun and laughs.
Approachable?
Well-spoken.
Whatever you do,
Doesn't matter what it is.
That's
because
your
a good
personality.
host will use their personality to wow the audience
Make the
to
audience
see it.
laugh.
and make the audience have fun.
Well, if you sign up for postscript 2023,
We'll be here.
Guide you.
a
Become
host,
the best
al-
host you can be.
a host always requires a script.
I tell you what I
If
did
you
get
were
though.
one,
Makes
one
a
heck
good
of a
would
story
you
to tell.
portray your script?
Thank you.
capture one's attention.
Treat the words like lyrics as you sing melodiously,
Or even
take
the
it
attention
seriously,
of a large
like an
crowd.
Welcome everyone to Postscript 2023, and this is the semi-final rounds of our hosting competition. Now this Postscript is actually Voice Personalities Hunt edition for this year, based on the theme of Post. Now Post is under Arts Fest, which is what we have this year, and it's actually one of the 6 productions that we have under the theme of Post. Like Post has many meanings. It can be a noun, like a gathering point for trade, exchange, and ideas. It can also be like a verb, like posting letters, like the letter right here. But people don't really post letters nowadays. More of the times we post on social media. And last but not least, post can be understood as a prefix, right? Post-pandemic, post-human. This is normally after key transformative events. Now, Postscript specifically is a competition held by SMU Broadcast and Entertainment in search for individuals with distinctive voices and captivating personalities to be the next generation of event hosts. Now, this is a live stream, so for all of you watching, all of you cheering on for your friends, for your family, do be sure to interact with our live stream. Do be sure to like and comment, and we do have giveaways for this live stream. So for those of you, there'll be a little prompt that you'll see in this live stream where you can comment who is your favorite contestant. From then on, we'll be picking like random little viewers who followed this prompt, and then we'll be giving them little prizes and giveaways such as brands from Chicken Essence, Apol, which is a $20 voucher, as well as Milksha bottles. Not only that, you can also have we also have a road show. Now, this road show is concurrently happening with Postscript alongside this live stream. This is happening opposite the Marmalade Pantry, right in front of OSA office, also known as the Office of Student Life, where you can actually take pictures with the boards like this, and it's like really cute pictures that you can take pictures with, and you also get a little bit of freebies, which is from Aurora, MGP, Apollo, as well as Chicken Essence. Now, with that, we'll be taking a short little break before we actually start with the semifinals of Postscript 2023. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the semi-finals of Postscript 2023, a part of SMU Arts Fest 2023. I'm Nina, your host for today. Well, one of your hosts for today, because Postscript is a hosting competition held by SMU Broadcast and Entertainment to find distinctive voices and captivating personalities to be the next generation of event hosts, and we particularly are looking for the best hosts here in SMU in 2023. Now, Postscript is part of SMU Arts Festival 2023, happening from 18th August to 24th September with the theme of Post. Now, this concept for the competition is postscript, right? The postscript, what exactly is postscript? Well, if you write a letter and you say to someone, oh, dear, blah, 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 love, Nina. And then you forgot something. You want to add a little bit of an extra little thing. Then you write P.S. By the way, I forgot to tell you this. That little P.S. is what postscript is actually about. It's where we add that little bit of personality, a little bit of flair, and it's actually the final words of a letter that we send. And that is where we, as a competition, recognize the compelling presence of the host that we're seeing here today. Now, we are honored to have experienced MC hosts, alumni, as well as industry professionals to mentor our aspiring contestants through the competition. Firstly, we have 19 semi-finalists that made it through this round. We had preliminary rounds, we had the quarterfinals from last week, and now we have 19 semi-finalists here today to be competing for the next round of grand finals. Only the top 10 will be making it there. To form our judging panel, we have invited esteemed judges from the media industry to share their versatile insights and decide who moves on as the top 10 grand finalists. Firstly, let's introduce Ms. Kelly Latimer, a renowned presenter and host, as well as a voiceover talent with close to 2 decades of experience. She has grown with the industry and has adapted her style to meet the needs of Singapore's cosmopolitan audience. Next up, we have Mr. Joshua Lim, an actor and an event host with more than a decade of experience in the industry, and he's best known for CNA's award-winning Why It Matters. Last and definitely not least, we have Miss Sylvia Thum, also known as the Master of Ceremonies. She is a professional event host with more than 20 years of experience, recognized for her elegant flair, and she's hosted several Singapore and regional prominent events. Thank you so much, hosts. Thank you so much, judges, for coming on down with your experience, your time, and your efforts. Now, with that, we'll be moving on to explain how the semifinals actually works and how our contestants will be faring today. First part of this is they actually had a co-hosting segment where they had to interview SMU1 finalists. This is a competition done under SMU Arts Fest, and they get to interview them and also practice how to co-host with other people. Now, this helps them bounce off the energies, not just off their interviewees, as well as their co-hosts. But today is the second segment of that, where the contestant's task is to script and present a formal event within a certain time frame. We've given them prompts revolving around current affairs from this year, and the contestants must include 3 things: an introduction, the context to the particular thing that they're talking about, as well as a welcome of a speaker, which is what we normally do for formal events. In the formal presentation, our judges will be looking for several criteria, such as engagement with the audience, body language, as well as intonation. Well, with that, let's welcome in our first contestant, Tianing.
I love you, baby. That one. Yeah, I saw that. Then I was like, oh, that's how you got casted into the competition, right? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and viewers who are joining us virtually through the live stream. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this lovely afternoon, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Exploring Euphoria. My name is Tianing, and it is my honor to be your host for today. This year, we celebrate the momentous milestone of celebrating Exploring Euphoria's 10th year anniversary that is organized by Euphoria Collective in conjunction with Astro Forum. Well, to set the tone for this conference, let us reflect upon life's most fundamental question, and that is, what does it mean to be truly happy? To some, it could be a fleeting emotion, where one experiences life's simplest joy, like starting off your morning with a hot cup of coffee. To others, it could be a state of mind, where one embarks on a journey on to cultivate it throughout their entire life. Or perhaps, could happiness be your ultimate end goal? The theme for today's conference is one that transcends time, boundaries, and circumstances. And that is called the pursuit of happiness. Therefore, exciting programs awaits us today, so do let me share with you the lineup of speakers that we have prepared for you today. We are very privileged to have invited experts from different fields of expertise, which will share the scientific, historical, and philosophical perspectives behind the pursuit of happiness. Firstly, we have Dr. Paul Tan. Firstly, Dr. Tan is a director of the philosophy department at the Ivy Brooks University. He also graduated as a valedictorian with a PhD in philosophy and a master's in public ethics and policy. As a practitioner, he has over 30 years of experience teaching in the field of philosophy and has become a leading voice in discussions on the pursuit of happiness with his leading book called Happiness Unveiled, a historical perspective. Therefore, through his sharing, we will explore the historical origins behind the pursuit of happiness, which was first coined by the philosopher John Locke. He emphasized on the right to individual rights to freedom and pursuit of happiness. And second up, we have Dr. Jasmine Lee. So Dr. Jasmine Lee is a clinical psychologist at the JL Clinical Psychology Board. And with over 40 years of experience, she has practiced in various healthcare institutions like National Care Board, Care Authority, and National Clinic. Therefore, through her areas of expertise, she hopes to introduce well-being interventions that will empower us as individuals with evidence-based tools that will guide us on our journey towards happiness. Therefore, today's lineup of sharings will definitely leave an indelible mark on our experience in exploring Euphoria's 10th year anniversary. Therefore, without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Paul Tan up on stage. Dr. Tan, please.
Thank you so much, Jianing, for that speech about the pursuit of happiness, right?
Yes.
Before our judges will give their feedback, let's have a little bit chit-chat with you.
Sure.
What was the inspiration beyond the prompt that was given to you?
I think personally, I wanted to weave in some, personal experience. I think for us, we have many things that motivate us in our daily life. It could be something small, like a hot cup of coffee. Personally, I'm a coffee lover. So that's how I start off my every morning to, it's a good start to the day.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I'd like to ask, how did you prepare for this particular segment of yours?
So I think the tips from my mentors really, really help. So they suggested to have like a structure, like an introduction, the body and the ending. And I think since this is my first time actually participating in a hosting competition, these tips were really, really helpful, to get from people who have experienced hosting before. Yes.
So is this your first time hosting through this competition?
Yes, actually, the reason why I auditioned was because I didn't know about the audition actually until one of the committee members.
Was
from
it Vivace?
Yes, Vivace. They pulled me in and I was like, do you want to do something spontaneous? And I was like, sure, why not?
All right, that's so wonderful. And with that, we're ready for our judges' comments.
I'll start then, shall I? Hi, how are you doing?
A bit nervous, but trying my
Okay.
best. Yeah.
Can tell a little bit that you're quite nervous. I want to say you've got a lovely voice. You're very eloquent. Your diction is beautiful. Your projection is great. I think you've got a great variation of tone, which I really enjoyed. And listening to your voice, it's something that I could happily listen to. So I think you've honed that quite well. A couple of things that I do want to maybe highlight. You're using a lot of really big words that I don't think you would normally use in your day-to-day speech. They sound fancy, but they don't add value. And if it's going to leave half your audience going, huh, what'd she say? Just exclude it. It doesn't matter. You can be completely relatable, especially when you're talking about things like the pursuit of happiness. Use things that evoke that emotion. I think that would come across a little more relatable as well. Mic placement-wise, just to get down to a bit of technicalities, you were really stiff, and maybe that was because you were nervous, so that might need a little bit of work. And the other thing I would say, which I feel is really important, is if this is a formal event, I would have appreciated a little more effort to dress up at least to, if you were going to go to the theme, wearing some brighter colors, or at least making the effort to dress slightly more formally.
Okay.
Okay?
I think Kelly has covered most, if not all, of the bases. I don't know what else to say. But I guess I agree with what Kelly said about the way you delivered. I think you understood the tone. I thought you had good speed of delivery. Perhaps could have you could bite the words just a little bit more. I know that you have braces, so maybe that you just got to have a little bit more extra work for that.
Okay.
I think you could have also. I think I really appreciate that you memorized your speech. I noticed that you didn't rely on your cards at all, and I just wondered you could have done away with your cards. You know, yeah. And lastly, I think just perhaps it was nerves also, but just hold the mic in place because that might give some technical issues to the sound guy, and the audience might not hear all of your words equally. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I think Kelly and Joshua, they already covered everything. Yeah, I agree that you have got to dress up if it's for a formal event. I think there's only one advice for you, which is you have got to be a little bit more bold when you're delivering your script. Own the stage. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for those comments. And thank you so much, Jianing, for joining us here at Postscript.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll be introducing our next contestant, who is Winnie.
Well, I am not a dancer. I am as agile as a bullet, but I have a grace of an elephant. Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Winnie Rusli, your host for this afternoon. And welcome to SMUBE's first episode of Education as a Tool of Future Success. It is no doubt that education is vital for success. Reflecting upon the ever-changing environment, students are catered to diverse abilities, adaptability, and resilience. I believe students should gain comfort and confidence before even getting into this stage. However, it is truly better said than done. But did you know that from the Harvard Business Review, study shows that more than 70% of students are doing their majors under the influence of peer and parental pressure. 47%, according to YouGov, has said that all of the undergraduate majors are not able to find the jobs according to what they need. And another study shows that I also can vouch for. 60% of students are only doing CCAs to meet up with university requirements. It is no doubt that we always strive for excellence. Similarly, it is important to strive for mental well-being. But how do we attain the best of both worlds? Think of an example of the MOE has given. For example, erasing the PSLE. However, the results are more than just shocking. Parents now are enforcing students to go for more tuition centers and getting more and more experiences. Children are now getting more and more stressed. Free time are now just used for tuitions, study sessions, rather than self-engagements, fun, and play. Even if CCAs are adopted, sadly, it's rarely out of passion, for it is transactional, narrated to more as amended rather than trill. To conclude, the rat race ends. It will never end. When the emphasis on academic merit ceases. The intensive roller coaster and rat race will always be altered, and we need to build much more traction to a better future, gaining much more change of mindsets, allowing students to learn about their future, understanding themselves better, and getting more and gaining more networks in the future. So the question relies now that we have, how do we navigate these students to a balanced lifestyle? To answer this question, I'm very pleased to invite our esteemed guest of honor, Mr. Joseph Yap, to share more on his insights on how to navigate today's education. Graduated from NUS Public Policy and psychology, Mr. Yap is highly reputed for his proposal of the education reform, Daring to Fail. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to the man of the hour, Mr. Joseph Yap. Mr. Joseph, please.
Thank you so much, Winnie, for that speech about education. Now, before our judges do give their comments, I'll have a little bit of a chit-chat with you. I would like to ask, how's your journey been through postscript? From the auditions to quarterfinals last week to semifinals today, how is it for you?
I really feel very much empowered, especially from my mentors. So a shout out for Rubab and Alistair. So they have given me a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of text messages when it comes to preparing my speech and preparing the semifinals. So I'm very much in depth with them.
What was the biggest tip you can say that your mentors gave you for this competition?
The biggest tip that they can have is just have a much more of a greater personality, embrace all that you have, and just be confident and have fun with it.
I think that's such a wonderful advice that your mentors gave. Now, I would like to ask more specifically about what you said earlier. How did you gain the inspiration beyond the prompt that was given?
The prompt that I was given and much more on the academic merits, I feel that learning about more what's outside the classroom and what's beyond that, that's what matters the most. And that really resounds to me. And yeah, that's very much important. I felt like I have to say it. Yeah.
Thank you for saying something that's really from the bottom of your heart. And with that, let's go on to our judges' comments.
Thank you.
Hi. I think you're good. Your enunciation, your intonation, everything is very good. I don't understand why nobody is dressed up. This is supposed to be a formal event hosting, right? Yeah, so I think that's the only thing I have. Yeah.
Hi, Winnie. First of all, good job. Yeah, same thing like what Sylvia said. I think you could have dressed up for the event for a formal occasion. And I think in addition to that, also what you hold in front of the audience right now using a piece of paper, I don't think that would fit a formal conference event, a proper cue card, or nowadays I think people also would forgive holding a tablet, an iPad, for example. I think you could have done better in terms of your eye line. I wasn't sure where you were looking, where your audience was. So in today's example, or in today's case, we are looking at a camera. So I think if your eyes kept looking elsewhere, the people viewing it might not know where you're looking at. Like, are you talking to me or not? Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. I think when you are addressing a camera, you really need to be looking at the camera. And I'm going to compare here, because it is a competition. Tianning had cue cards in her hand, but barely looked at them. You, conversely, were pretty much reading off all the time. If you are going to read, I have nothing against it, because when you are trying to memorize something like a huge chunk like that, it's very, very difficult. But then you need to master the art of how to read while still sounding like you're speaking, not just reading, because then you lose a lot of engagement. You lose the interaction with the audience as well, because you are literally just parroting off whatever you're reading in front of you. So that is a skill that I feel you could probably use a little bit of work on. I will echo the sentiments of dressing. And then I think the only other thing is there's no need to conclude. You're doing the introduction. So again, big words that actually are used as time fillers, absolutely unnecessary in this instance. Timing-wise, you're at about 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes, which falls quite a bit short of the allocated time. But I feel like to have done more would have been forcing it. So I appreciate that you just called it when it was, but you could have done a little bit more to show me your personality, who you are, and not just read.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for those comments, and thank you so much, Winnie, for coming here to Postscript. Thank you so much. With that, we'll be introducing our third contestant. Next up we have is you, Hannah.
I love video games, so maybe we can talk backstage about our favorite video games. Yeah, let's all have a conversation. Yes. But it looks like we're running out of time, so maybe just one last question for you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Equilibrium Conference 2023. My name is Johanna, and I am absolutely thrilled to be your host for this remarkable event. in this year's edition of the Equilibrium Conference, we will be focusing on one crucial aspect of the employment sector: work-life balance. Now, in a world where work and personal well-being often clash, this topic is especially fitting and important. In fact, based on the sign-up forms, 2/3 of you, yes, you in the audience, mentioned your desire for a healthy work-life balance. And actually, count me in as well, because all of us aim to find that equilibrium from the moment we choose our education pathways to the moment we choose our first job. So, why do we want to find this balance? Well, picture this with me for a second. When we're old and retired, do you think that we'll be reminiscing about that overtime pay or that stellar department presentation? Rather than that, actually, I would like to offer you a thought that it is the moments that we spent with our loved ones and the laughter we share with our friends that we'll remember when we leave this earth. Our work should give us the opportunity to make more precious memories rather than hinder this. But here's an interesting catch for you. More often than not, it does. Actually, we tend to place work on a pedestal because we believe that it is a means to achieve happiness. This is based on a case study by Harvard, so you know it's real. In fact, I'll give you another statistic. Over 70% of Singaporean employees find themselves having poor work-life balance due to overwhelming workloads. And I'm sure many of us in the audience can relate or, just feel the same. This disparity between our strong desire for a healthy work-life balance and, the harsh reality of life, to me, well, to put it mildly, is a little perplexing. Actually, our guest of honor today, Miss Sona Lee, who is also the author of the best-selling book, Finding Harmony Between Work and Life, brought up in her book that we all know the importance of achieving a healthy work-life balance. So why haven't we reached it? Indeed, Miss Lee, why haven't we? And it is with this recognition that I would like to turn our attention to our first segment, a panel discussion that promises to shed light on an aspect often overlooked: the setbacks encountered on the journey towards attaining work-life balance. And our panel boasts an exceptional lineup, firstly, the aforementioned Miss Sona Lee, whose literary accomplishments are just as impressive as her insights, and secondly, Mr. Telman Ho, the visionary behind the NGO The Right Side, which is dedicated to enlightening working adults of their workplace rights. And finally, but definitely not least, Mr. Muhammad Hakim, a self-proclaimed TikTok winfluencer at all things life. Now, just hearing that, I'm really looking forward to an enriching and inspiring panel discussion today, and I'm so sure that many of you in the audience feel the same and share my enthusiasm. And with that, I would like to encourage you to scan the QR code on the screen right behind me to submit your comments or questions, because rest assured, we will be delving into some of these questions post-discussion, so do send them in now. So, what are the setbacks to achieving work-life balance? Well, let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in giving a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists today? Miss Lee, Mr. Ho, and Mr. Hakim, please.
Thank you so much, Johanna, for the little speech that you gave. Now, before we move on to the judges' comments, let's have a little bit of an interview. Let's see how did you come up with their speech? How did you figure out the structure of it and things like that?
Well, definitely I have to give a lot of thanks to my mentors, Rubab and Alastair, for giving me a lot of ideas on the structure, because honestly, I felt really lost at first because I was like, conference? I've never hosted a conference before. This is a really new thing for me. So yes, thank you to Rubab and Alastair.
Now, how do you find inspiration then for what you specifically talked about? I felt that you had a lot of personal input. You're like, oh, personally, I do this, personally, I do that. So how do you find that balance between what you're saying and how you feel about it?
Well, definitely, I don't have much experience working. Maybe I'm a little spoiled in that aspect, but I guess at the end of the day, it's just a lot of empathy put in, putting myself in the position of those people who are overworked and really feeling for them in that moment. Yes.
I think that's really, really wonderful. And I think with that, we'll be moving on to the judges' comments.
My turn?
Yeah.
All right, my turn to start first. Johanna, first of all, well done. You have a very nice voice, so I really enjoyed listening to you. I like your nice variation of tone throughout your opening speech. I liked that you tried to inject a little bit of humor in it as well, which I think is okay to have humor even though it's a formal conference. But you kind of managed to toe the line very well to bring it back to the formality that was needed. I thought that you were a bit awkward with your cue cards, holding it with that ring, so you might want to rehearse that a little bit better next time. And I think while I could understand you clearly, because you speak very well, give time for the audience to absorb your information at certain points. It felt like you just wanted to, give us all the information. Yeah, so pauses, be comfortable with pauses. Yeah.
Are you sure? Okay. Firstly, you have an amazing smile.
Thank you.
Like, you've got a really, really beautiful smile, and I think you were the first one that we've seen so far that actually moved around the floor a little bit, which indicated a bit more comfort, even though it was just like, take a look at the QR code. It really does help because it shows that you're comfortable in the space that you're in, and I appreciated that. I think adding the personal thoughts and anecdotes, even something as small as looking off to the side when you're trying to talk about your thoughts, just goes to show that you're not necessarily just reading them off a cue card. It's like a spur of the moment thing. You've totally got it planned, but it's a spur of the moment thought that, hey, I think that too, but what does our panel think? And I think that just comes across as a lot more natural, helps you become a lot more relatable, and increases that engagement, because then it provokes your audience to go, oh, yeah, I think about that too. So I think you did really well in that. I think there was a little bit of mic bouncing going around, especially towards the end when you were sort of like, okay, timing-wise, trying to make sure that you hit it. But I think you did a great job. I think echoing the points that Joshua mentioned, just slow down a little bit, let us think about what you've said, and you look great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Kelly and Joshua said earlier on. And I can feel the energy level that you're throwing out to the crowd and to the audiences. Maybe you might want to increase it by 2 notches. Yeah, well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, judges, for that feedback. Thank you so much, Johanna, for joining us at Postscript. Thank you. All right, we've seen a few contestants, but we still have a lot more to go. And with that, let's introduce our next contestant, Natanya.
How much do you think you're going to win SMU1? In fact, Johanna, I think I have my answer. So should we all say on the count of 3?
Okay, let's
Are you
all
ready?
say it.
Ready?
Okay, ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and esteemed participants, welcome to the inaugural Nexus Tech Conference. I hope you are delighted to be here because I certainly am. My name is Natanya, and I'm honored to be your host over the next 3 days. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the theme for this year's conference is truly unprecedented. It is themed AI, Ethics in Algorithms. And I don't know about you, but I'm already out of breath as I try to keep up with the rate at which technology is advancing. As innovation hurls us towards a rapidly evolving digital landscape, it is essential that we address the role of ethics in artificial intelligence, and this conference is the first of its kind to do so. Over the next 3 days, you'll get the chance to participate in a wide array of extraordinary keynote addresses, presentations, research discussions, and workshops that will explore the untapped possibilities of AI. Most importantly though, we're here to answer the burning question: is my speech written by ChatGPT? How can we responsibly and ethically integrate AI into our industries? Whether you're here representing your company, you're an expert in the educational field, or you're a researcher, there are lots of things that you can take away from this very conference. So, what are some highlights that you can look forward to? Other than the light refreshments at the back, some key events include a panel discussion on AI's role in enhancing human abilities, and also some workshops like AI in healthcare, quantum computing and AI, and AI's role in disaster response. And of course, don't worry, there will also be multiple opportunities for you to network and multiple avenues for collaborations on potential ventures. Oh, I'm so charged up just thinking about it already. Before we delve into the exciting program, allow me to just extend our heartfelt gratitude to our sponsors, partners, and brilliant minds, shown on the screen behind me, who have all made this conference possible. Your dedication has made this gathering possible, and we are delighted to share this experience with all of you. Now, it's time to embark on this enlightening journey together. Let's explore, learn, and collaborate as we dive into the world of artificial intelligence. I am thrilled to announce that we are about to kick off this conference with our first plenary session by Dr. Yuma Ong. Dr. Ong is the president and CEO of Decoden, a leading global data analytics company. Under Dr. Ong, Decoden manages trillions of digital interactions for billions of people and is a trailblazer for innovation in the world of AI. Dr. Ong will guide us through the possibilities of AI's impact on society, the economy, and humanity's future. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Ong. Dr. Ong, please.
Thank you so much, Natanya, for that little speech about AI. Now, before the judges give their feedback, I'd just like to ask you, AI is a pretty happening topic. Do you do any research on it? Was it more from personal experiences? Where do you draw the inspiration from?
Right, well, my experience is with AI is honestly only through ChatGPT. Like, I'm a social science student, not a computer science student, so I had to do a lot of research, but thankfully there are a lot of current AI conferences going around, so I took a lot of inspiration from that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how was your journey as an SMU student, the first year student, and balancing that with this competition?
Well, this competition, I didn't really know what I was signing up for. I just knew that I enjoy emceeing, and I participated in public speaking competitions before. And I thought, you know what, better way to start my uni journey than to, come to this competition and just try it out.
Okay, thank you so much for trying out this competition. And with that, we'll be moving on to the judges' comments.
Well, firstly, great effort on the dressing. I feel like how you're dressed is probably, aside from the sneakers, how you should be dressed when hosting a formal conference, especially something that's tech related. I literally came off the back of hosting a tech conference with Dell about generative AI. So everything that you were saying was actually very well thought out, well researched, and completely in line with what's going on with the trends at the moment. So despite not being a science student in that area, I think you did great. I think the only thing I would say is to work a little bit more on speaking, not reading. It was clear that you had gone through your script, memorized your script, but you maybe didn't write it in the way you would naturally speak it. So when you were verbalizing it, it didn't quite sound as natural as it could have been, even though I could hear that you had put thought into what you wanted to say and sort of the little anecdotes and the little quips here and there, which I did appreciate, and it all sounded very nice and it all came together. But I feel like you could have just done just that little bit more. Other than that, you were great.
All right, thank you. I think you have very good projection. I could hear you very clearly. Enunciation was there. You recovered well also, even though you made one slip up, so good recovery. I think to echo what Kelly was talking about, it didn't come from you. I felt, an example was when you said, I feel so charged up already, just hearing about it. So that part felt contrived. It didn't feel like you really felt charged up for it. And I think on paper, it reads nicely, but when you're delivering it, when we hear it, it's a different story. So the trick is to then how to make words on paper sound like they came organically from you. And if you don't really feel it, my advice is to then don't say that you feel it. Yeah.
I think you're great, but I believe that there's one or two words that you didn't pronounce it properly. Yeah, other than that, you're great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for that insightful comment. And thank you, Natanya, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natanya. Now, with that, we'll be moving on to our next contestant, an exchange student, actually. We have Atia.
You were singing very nice, soulful, and then you'd be like, pause, and the music stopped. And then you just went into very Rita Ora era, and I was like, that is what I was like, that's amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 15th annual Big Rapport Conference, where people from all over the world come together. We have people from Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, and even people from my own home country, the UK. People are coming together to show their dedication and strive against prejudice. We are here to challenge and celebrate the people around us, the people that were the catalyst for change, the people that were striving for a better future filled with prosperity. I personally have seen hard-working individuals who have changed the world, who have from the local tea vendors who have created a place of home and comfort, to the big companies creating jobs and opportunities, showing us that change does not have to be big. The international emphasis on global economies in Asia has been amazing. There have been changes and wants to become better. Asia as a whole has been striving for change in their general economies. So today we are here to highlight those same people. We're going to start by looking at the gross domestic product that Asia has had in the last few years. But before we get into that, personally, I just want to focus on the different effects and the different views of the world to Asia. I have seen how places like America, Canada, and Australia are now striving to be just as good as Asia, showing us that this is such an achievement for our region. And this is highlighted in the post-pandemic figures. I'm sure you've all seen the West has started to slow down, while countries like China and India, they have been having a gross domestic product increase, which has been astounding. China alone has had a GDP growth of 8.3% in the last year alone. And in 2021, across Asia, we had an increase of 7.1%. This has been amazing for our region, showing us the dedication that our countries have in re-establishing and rebuilding the economy. Today, riveting topic, we have quite a few keynote speakers. But first and foremost, we have Mr. Zach Davis, a world-renowned economist. He is from Harvard, who is showing us once again the emerging economy of our region. He has studied emerging Asia as a whole, but also the global economy. And he has decided that emerging Asia's economy will have one of the biggest and fastest growing economy in the advanced economy sector in the next 2 years. Before we get into all of that, I just want you guys to remember that I hope you learn from emerging Asia, that at the end of the day, it's not about where we started, but rather what we strive to become overall. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Davis on stage. Mr. Davis, please.
Thank you, Atya, for that formal segment about emerging Asias. Now, before we let our our judges give a little bit of their feedback, I'd like to talk to you specifically. Now, you have a bit more of an international kind of perspective. How has that helped you in preparing your speech here?
I think it really helped me look at it from different points of view. Of course, I'll try to focus on how Singapore sees Asia as a whole and the influence it had, but also the West and how they've been reacting to the different economies in Asia.
Interesting. Now, how has your week here been as an exchange student here, and not just as a student, but also balancing this competition?
It's been amazing, actually. Everyone here has been so nice and really helpful. If I needed a question, if I got lost, someone was always there to say, oh, this is where you have to go, or how I do my readings for my seminars and things like that.
All right, that's so wonderful. With that, I think our judges are ready for their comments.
Hi, I think you have done a great job. I love the way you moved in and, I don't know whether it's a tall thing, like you can command the stage very well. Yeah, I love it. But you sounded more like a speaker than an MC. Yeah, but I think you can work on it. That shouldn't be any problem at all. Next thing would be you might want to consider, I don't know, maybe don't memorize your script, but write it down in point form and speak it off your cuff. Yeah. You might want to try that. Yeah.
Just to echo what Sylvia mentioned, yeah, you did sound like a speaker. To just point out the example is when you say, I want to tell you this, I want to tell you that, and you wanted to make a point about prosperity and economics. But I think as the host, you present the conference, you present the topics. So I think that's just one clear example. When you start to say, I want to tell you something, that's coming from a speaker point of view as opposed to a host point of view. Presentation-wise, your cue cards, I think you can do better in managing it better. And yeah, I'll leave the rest to Kelly first.
Which part of the UK are you from?
Manchester.
Okay, so I'm from Nuneaton.
Okay.
And when I first came to Singapore, I had a torrid Midlands accent. So you've done very well to try and internationalize your accent, which I think really helps. But one thing that I would say, Manchurians tend to swallow their words a little bit. You might need to just work on rounding the mouth a little bit to create a wider sound that doesn't get half swallowed.
Okay.
But aside from that, I think really, really good. I think you did quite well. Big energy, like Sylvia said. When you came out, I could feel that presence, which is half the battle. If you can come out here and own that stage, it is such an important factor. So that energy that you bring was really, really good, even though some of it was nervous energy.
Yeah.
So the movement, at first you started and you were walking the floor and it felt good. And then it got a bit nervous, and then you were pottering around a bit, and then it makes it harder for a camera to focus on you, especially. If you're on a stage and you can walk 3 steps that way, walk 5 steps that way, it's not so bad. But if you're on a camera and they have to pan left and right just like that, and people are going to get seasick after a while. So it's just something to be mindful of, and just noting the audience. I'll echo all of their sentiments, but aside from that, I really enjoyed it. It was engaging, and it came across very nice. So well done.
Thank you so much for that helpful feedback, judges. And thank you so much, Adia, for coming on to Postscript.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, with that, we've seen a few contestants, but of course, we still have a lot more to go. 19 contestants and only 10 grand finalists that we'll be having. Next up, we do have is Ethan.
So, out of you guys over here, who is the most likely to be late for dance practice? 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and my fellow student leaders, my name is Ethan, and I wish you a very warm welcome to the ASEAN Youth Economic Forum. It is my pleasure to stand before you as we embark on a transformative journey of knowledge and discovery under the theme of emerging Asian economies. So, before we begin, why don't we remind ourselves of why we are here today? Each and every one of you in this room have actually been handpicked by your universities as being the best and brightest. Among us, we have leaders, we have brilliant economists, and we have visionaries who have proven a commitment to act and a dissatisfaction with the status quo. Many of you in this room are likely leaders of tomorrow. So as we engage in our discussions over the next week, let us remember that we are not just spectators, but instead, we are architects of the future. So, as we all know, now we live in dynamic and unpredictable times. We are currently living in the wake of COVID-19, which has reshaped supply chains and drastically shaped the way we live and work. We are currently undergoing the Russia-Ukraine war, which has posed great threats to global energy and food security. And not to mention that now is an age of rapid technological development. We live in an age of AI and quantum computing, tools which have not only provided great opportunity for our economies, but also have provided a lot of opportunity for disruption, for the Davids of the business world to overthrow the Goliaths. And let us not forget the greatest threat of them all, which is climate change. As temperatures continue to rise, as natural disasters begin to happen more and more, we must remember that what we are doing right now is too little, and we must act fast if we want to save our world. So that brings us back to my theme, which is emerging Asian economies. This conference is not simply about economic growth. This is about economic growth with a purpose. We are not here to be competitors to one another. We are here to build each and every one of our countries up. Because only with a strong and united ASEAN can we take on the challenges of the world. The discussions over this next week will unravel the potential, challenges, and opportunity for growth and cooperation within our region. So, just to bring us to our discussions, I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Larry Wong, who is not only Singapore's Minister of Finance, but is also the Secretary General of ASEAN and best-selling author of the book, The Future is ASEAN. This guy is a trailblazer with a dedication to financial stability, innovation, and economic growth, and he has left an indelible mark on the region. So without further ado, Dr. Larry Wong.
Thank you so much, Ethan, for your introduction of emerging Asias. Now, before our judges, do step up forward a bit. Don't be scared. You are the star, one of the stars of this show. Now, before our judges give their comments, let's have a little bit of a chit chat. You're one of the first male contestants that we had in the list of contestants. How do you feel about that?
It feels a bit strange because I used to be from engineering, so this is kind of the opposite in terms of like the gender ratio. But I'm very proud to represent guys in the competition.
Represent guys, I see. So how did you draw inspiration for your introduction of your event?
Okay, so first of all, something to note is that I'm not an economics student. Instead, I study information systems. So what I chose to focus on, especially since this is a youth forum, is not so much the technical things, but more on the big picture issue that our world and ASEAN is facing.
All right, thank you so much, Ethan, for that. And let's move on to the judges' comments.
Ethan, I love your voice. When I heard your video when we were going through, I was just like, your voice stands out for me as one of the best, the most commanding and very bassy, which I really love. I love bassy voices. Were you nervous going into today? I could see the body language. There was like a little bit of handshaking going on, and that kind of came through, which was a bit disappointing for me because I had really high hopes for you. Not to say that you didn't do well. I think you did do well, but I feel like it ended up being a little bit robotic in the delivery, which was very contrasting to the comfortable vibe that you put across when you were co-hosting in that interview. It was very, very different. And that was what I was hoping that I would see in the flesh. So I feel like you let yourself down a little bit there by just allowing the nervous energy to take over. The eyes were everywhere. You weren't quite sure where to look. But for the most part, you've got half the battle won with a good voice. You've presented yourself well. You look great, although I will say guys have it easier. So you look the part, you sound the part. You just need to work on that delivery for me, and I think you'd be golden.
No, go ahead.
Yes, your voice was really captivating, very strong presence. You had a very good opening. I liked how you made everyone in the audience felt engaged by addressing them as individuals. You know, you posed a question and that perks the audience and it really just catches their attention. So that was good. You have good diction and tone. Apart from the nerves, which I also sensed from you, I would think for a formal setting especially, and even more so when you're introducing your guest of honor, don't use the word guy. Don't call him this guy, okay? Yeah, so call him sir, call him this gentleman. Yeah, just avoid that word. Yeah, that's.
Hi, are you very nervous? Yeah, okay, I can sense your nervousness. Okay, you tend to make it a little bit comical. I would love to have you if you're hosting for dinner and dance. But for a conference, yes, you can always inject humor, but you still need to be a little bit more formal in a way. The next thing will be the flipping of your cue card. If we are doing a live stream, we can literally catch the sound of you flipping the cue card. You might want to do something like, memorize the last sentence that you want to say, and while you're delivering it, put your cue card down and turn it this way and then bring it up again. You might want to do that, yeah. Next thing will be when you're receiving your guest of honor to come on stage, because the entire stage is, we own the stage as an MC, right? Anybody that come into your space, you have to go over there, shake the person's hand, and guide the person over. Yeah, so just play a little bit of hospitality, stage hospitality.
Yeah. Can you put your first finger inside your cue card?
First finger inside my cue card, like that.
So in the ring.
In
in the actual ring. Okay, then you take your thumb and you slide it under your next cue card. No. So thumb underneath and keep it there, right? Okay, then put it down, flip it round, like use it to flip, and then just bring it back up. And then whilst you're talking, reposition your thumb under the next one. You'll get a much slicker sort of like reposition, sort of like switch under, and you just keep your finger in there, and you've got a big enough ring, so that helps. But then you'll just be able to like practice it, just practice flipping it, and that will help. So you're already there, halfway there with a bigger ring.
All right, thank you so much, judges, for the insightful comments. I think I might also need to practice how to flip my cards as well. But thank you so much, Ethan, for coming on to Postscript as a semi-finalist. All right, with that, we'll be introducing our next contestant is Dawn.
Thank you so much, Kay, for being with us here today. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us. And to everyone out there, do support Kay at the SMU1 Finals happening on the 31st of August at Big Steps.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed educators, and participants from all around the world. Welcome to the inaugural ASEAN Education Conference, an event that aims to improve global accessibility to education while celebrating its transformative power. I'm Dawn, your host for today, and it is my distinct privilege to welcome all of you here to Singapore. So thank you for taking the time to join us. At the ASEAN Education Conference, we are joined by an assembly of educators, policymakers, and organization leaders. And they are all bounded by a collective goal: to make education more accessible. Nelson Mandela once said, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." And in line with that, this year's conference has a theme that corresponds to that quote: "Education, a tool for success." This theme aptly echoes Mandela's beliefs and encapsulates the effectiveness of knowledge in propelling individuals towards greatness. Education plays a vital role in determining success. However, it is a saddening reality that not everyone has the privilege of receiving an education. Therefore, keeping the theme in mind, this year's conference aims to curate an international education landscape that is inclusive and equitable for students all around the world. One that empowers individuals across diverse backgrounds, and one where education can act as a valuable tool for success. Throughout the course of this conference, look forward to participating in meaningful dialogues, exploring workshops with groundbreaking research, and interacting with various stakeholders. We encourage you to boldly exchange ideas and challenge conventions as we have these conversations. Also on today's exciting agenda is an insightful panel discussion featuring notable speakers such as regional education ministers and various organization leaders, and they will be discussing the future of learning in our world today. In the afternoon, please feel free to tour the lineup of captivating display booths located at the atrium. These booths are set up by students of National Secondary School and will feature various aspirations of youth today and what education means to them. We will then round up the evening with a scrumptious dinner served for your networking and dining pleasure. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting day ahead of us with engaging programs lined up. But to formally kickstart this morning, it is my pleasure to now introduce our guest of honor, Minister of Education, Mr. Tan Ah Meng. Mr. Tan has spearheaded various initiatives, from incorporating artificial intelligence into our school curriculum to raising greater awareness on mental health among students and teachers alike. He has paved the way for modern learning and is a strong advocate for universal access to education. We are extremely thankful to have him here with us at the first ever ASEAN Education Conference, where hope for the future is ignited. So without further ado, may we invite Mr. Tan up on stage to deliver his keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Tan.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for that speech about education. Now, before our judges give their comments, I'd just like to ask you, how are you feeling here today?
I'm feeling really happy to be here. Of course, nervous because a panel of judges right here, but I think it's been really fun.
Exactly. So I would like to ask, how has your journey been here in Postscript?
I think it's been quite wonderful. I really appreciate the help that my mentors have given me, and I've also made a lot of new friends. So that's really valuable.
I really, really like that answer. It's not just about the competition, it's also about the friends that you're making along the way. Now, I'd like to ask, as a first-year student, how has it been balancing this competition as well as school?
It's definitely not been easy so far, but I think I'm doing all right. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Now, let's hear our judges' comments.
Okay. You're very engaging. You've got a lovely voice. You've got great projection as well, which I appreciate. A few little fluffs up here and there, but that's totally okay as long as you own it and you don't let it unravel the rest of your presentation. Your cue card manner was pretty good. You were good at efficient at the switching. The only thing I would say is probably your wrap up. A little bit long and drawn out. You introduced the minister before and then went on into a full-blown introduction of him. So it almost seems, if I was the AV crew, I would probably want to cue walk-in music, but then you went on and had quite a long spiel about him, and then you introduced him twice, and you never referred to him again as the minister. So you would just want to be mindful when you're crafting your script. If it is a minister, make sure you refer to him as minister in the subsequent iterations, not just a Mr. Tan, but it would be Minister Tan or Minister Please. Aside from that, I enjoyed your delivery. I thought it was really good. I think you're dressed quite well, aside from the sneakers. So I think you scored quite well for me.
Same thing, yeah. I really like your projection. I like your speed of delivery. You allowed for certain pauses. There was quite a measured pace. One thing I would say is to, at the very least, just to deliver your introduction, your very first line, without looking at your cue cards. That's at the very least. And I liked how your script set the expectations for all the attendees at the conference, what to expect in the morning and in the afternoon and then dinner at night. So that was very good to set everyone, set their expectations, what to look forward to. I agree about the introduction of the minister. I thought that I was supposed to clap for him already. Oh, but you're still talking about him. Yeah, and the rest I'll leave it to Sylvia.
Dawn, well done. I love how you convey the quiet confidence on stage and your engagement with the audiences. You have great posture also, and I love the open and very relaxed gesture. It feels like you're standing tall in front of camera, in front of the audience. And same thing, I also echo the same thing as what Kelly and Joshua speak about how you introduce the VIP or the minister. I think by then, someone will have already fired a walking music. Yeah, we'll cover you up. Yeah, okay, good job, Dawn. Well done.
Thank you, judges, for the advice and comments. And thank you, Dawn, so much for coming on to Postscript. Thank you so much. All right, with that, we're almost halfway through our contestants, but don't worry, we still have a lot more to go because we're introducing our next contestant, which is Shrishti.
Okay, so in the audience, everyone who's ever wanted to try this, now's your chance. And you can thank us later.
Did you know that the global temperature is increasing at the rate of 0.18 degrees Celsius per decade? Did you know that the sea levels are rising by 3.6 millimeters per year? And did you know that species are going extinct at a rate 10,000 times more than the expected rate? Insane, right? But the worst part is that everything is happening all at once. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, distinguished speakers, and acclaimed panelists, good afternoon to you all. My name is Srishti, and as your host for this event, it is my honor to welcome you to the Current Truth, a two-day conference where we will be discussing one of the most pressing issues of our time, which also happens to be one of my favorite icebreakers, yes, climate change. Over the course of these 2 days, we will be covering a wide variety of topics, ranging from eco-friendly solutions to rising temperatures. From scientists to business leaders
to activists. We have gathered quite a mix of experts over here who will be engaging in intriguing talks by our guest speakers, riveting panel discussions, and interacting presentations, with ample breaks, of course. To give you an idea, on day one, we will focus on the impacts of the various phenomena under climate change. On day two, we will focus on developing strategies for a sustainable future. Interesting, right? Like, I'm curious already. But before any of that, let me get into some housekeeping matters. Please keep your phone silent during the talks, discussions, and presentations. Kindly avoid cross-talk while a speaker is speaking, because it is very distracting. Believe me, I know. Refrain from using any words or phrases that people might find offensive or derogative. Moving ahead, I must say that the event would not have turned out the way it has without our sponsors, the Onward Avenue and the Corner co-workers. We thank you very much for your contributions. And now, as we begin the conference, we will begin a journey towards a more mindful future. And I hope that by the end of it, we all have some takeaways to carry forward. On that note, I think it's time to introduce our first keynote speaker for today, Dr. Tom Thompson. He is an eminent researcher, author, and activist. And today, he will be sharing his insights about a very hot topic. And I mean that literally, because he will be talking about the impacts of global warming. So, without any further ado, can we please invite on stage with a huge round of applause, Mr. Tom Thompson.
Thank you so much, Shrishti, about that introduction on climate change. Now, before our judges do give their comments, let's have a little bit of a chit-chat between us. Sure. So how did you prepare for this introduction of yours?
Okay, the biggest help have been my mentors, because after the quarterfinals and the semi-finals round one, my brain practically stopped working on scripts. So
I understand.
Yeah, they helped a lot.
I think our mentors has been really helpful for almost every single contestant that we've had so far. So I'm very glad that they really helped you along your journey. So I'd like to ask, how was that journey from auditions to quarterfinals to right now? How was that journey for you? Was it very fast, a bit like learning a lot? What was it like?
Okay, it was fast-paced, definitely, but it was so much fun, because I remember walking into auditions knowing nothing. It's like, okay, goes well, doesn't go well, you can still go home.
Exactly.
So yeah, I've had quite a lot of fun so far.
All right, thank you so much for that. I think not VPH, postscript is really all about learning, not just to be an MC, but also to be just a better speaker in general. I think I'm really happy that you were able to try something new out there. And then with that, I think our judges are done and they can give your comments.
Thank you.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
What happened towards the end when you're introducing the guest of honor or the first speaker? Did you lose your train of thoughts, or you don't know where you read until?
No, it was
I sense a bit of hesitation over there.
I think I got too much in my head about the entire script, how it's been going on. Yeah.
Okay. But that's fine. I guess if you rehearse more, it will be fine, yeah? I love your varying vocal tone. It enhances the audience engagement. Another thing will be, instead of using cue cards, you might want to consider using electronics devices like your mobile phone. But I do know that there are times whereby there are changes even the minute before we step on stage. You have got to use a piece of paper. If you don't have the choice, you might want to fold it all the way to maybe half an A4 size or something like that. I don't know. You can try that. Yeah.
Hi, Srishti. Good job. I think it was interesting. Your opening was quite interesting. You start off with some questions, and I was just slightly worried. Oh no, is she going to introduce herself later on? But then in the end, you greeted your audience and you introduced yourself. So okay, very, to me, slightly dangerous way to begin. But I think you just managed to hold the formality just enough. But I think what happened later on that made me feel a little bit like there was a bit of a sour taste was there was suddenly introducing house rules to the audience and a bit of an informal quips that I felt were a bit inappropriate, like the part where you said, believe me, I know. That segment I thought could have been left out because the house rules I don't think were needed in your introduction. And also, when you use adjectives for things that haven't happened yet, for example, riveting panel discussions, you would hope for them to be riveting, but they haven't happened yet. So to kind of like promise them that they would be, the more skeptical audience members might be like, are you sure they're going to be riveting? So I think to be safe, just to tell them, yes, there will be panel discussions happening, dialogue happening, and just to say them as they are. Yeah.
I think first up, mic manner. You started off with your microphone way down, and then I think someone told you to bring it up. I think we need to be a little bit more aware of microphone placement. I think that's really important. I could sense a little bit of nervousness about you, and that's okay. It comes with practice and comes with time and experience as well. I think having done quite a lot of conferences, I will disagree with Joshua about the housekeeping. I feel that housekeeping is essential, but I will agree with his point that adding a personal anecdote of, yeah, I know it's really annoying when people interrupt you, it doesn't give the right sort of tone. It shouldn't be that you know what it's like to be interrupted, but it's like, you don't want to embarrass the people that are about to be on stage, because ultimately you'll be embarrassed if your phone rings. So there's a way to make it casual and a way to lighten the heavy messaging. And I feel like, considering that your time was quite short, there was more focus on the housekeeping than there was on the actual content. So I then wonder, was there a lack of knowledge, or was there just not enough done to flesh out? Or I feel like you could have done more to flesh out the topics that would be discussed, the speakers themselves, and how they would add value to the audience. But aside from that, like in terms of your diction, your intonation, I thought your intonation was great and it made people want to listen. But I felt like you could have given us more to listen to.
Thank you so much, judges, for the comments and feedback. And thank you so much, Shrishti, for coming on for Postscript.
Thank you.
Now, we've seen a few topics, we've seen a few different ways and styles people do their formal hosting segment. But with that, we'll be introducing our next contestant, Claudia.
You know how dance can bring forth different emotions. Will you say there's a difference between you as Tracy, a student, and Tracy as a dancer? And how do you mitigate between that?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed guests. Thank you all for joining me today at this conference together to explore a topic that affects us all. My name is Claudia Tiribello, and I'm honored to be your MC for today, for this conference called The Cost of Living Chronicles. So, picture this. You're in the heart of one of the world's most vibrant cities, surrounded by towering skyscrapers and bustling streets. But beneath this facade of modernity lies a common thread that binds us all: the unrelenting rise of the cost of living. Just as the iconic Marina Bay Sands stands tall, so do the challenges faced by everyday Singaporeans as they navigate the intricacies of affording housing, education, healthcare, and more. Today, we delve into the Singaporean experience, exploring how this global issue strikes close to home. So, coming to this conference, what words did you all have in mind? I'm sure inflation, affordability, expenses, budget constraints. These are just a few of the terms that comes to mind when we talk about the ever-persistent challenge of the rising cost of living. Now, what about headlines? Just yesterday, headlines mentioned that school bus fares are set to rise again in 2024 to cover the mounting costs. And if that wasn't enough to catch all your attention, I'm sure you've seen all the stark headlines detailing the surge in rental flat prices, making the pursuit of decent housing as challenging as ever. But the truth is, these headlines are just the tip of the iceberg. If you were to delve into the news, you would find a variety of articles shedding light on this very matter. Sadly, this isn't just another topic to skim over. It is a pressing issue that affects us all, regardless of age, occupation, or background. And it is essential to hear from those who possess first-hand experience and expertise in navigating this intricate landscape. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from our esteemed guest speaker, who will delve even deeper into the heart of this matter. So do stay tuned, because the insights you're about to gain could very well shape how we approach this challenge in the future. Well, it is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Peter Ong, who is a renowned economist with a career spanning over 3 decades. His expertise in economic trends and financial analysis has positioned him as a prominent figure in the realm of economics. Dr. Ong's deep understanding of global economic landscapes, combined with his local insights, has earned him a recognition as a leader in addressing pressing economic challenges. Well, Dr. Ong's analytical knack for predicting economic trends have garnered him prizes such as the Economic Excellence Award and the Financial Insight Pioneer Award. He's frequently sought after to speak at international economic conferences, where his captivating presentation demystifies complex economic concepts and shed light on actionable solutions. So, ladies and gentlemen, after hearing about his incredible background, I'm sure you're all as excited as I am. So without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Peter Ong. Dr. Peter Ong, please.
Thank you, Claudia, for that little segment that you had. Now we'll be giving the judges some time to think of their comments, but let's talk about you. Firstly, I love the purple.
Thank you. It's my favorite color.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. But I would like to ask, how are you feeling today? How was that journey from the auditions all the way to the semifinals? How has it been for you?
My favorite catchphrase would be nervous but excited, so that's what I'm feeling right now. But yeah, the journey has been really fun. It's like fast, but I guess it keeps the adrenaline going. So I'm really happy and honored to be here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And with that, let's hear the judges' advice and comments.
I'd just like to credit the purple as well, down to the cue cards. I think the coordination is on point. I think you present yourself quite well. It's an overall very good image. Down to the shoes, which I appreciate, because most people have opted for sneakers today, which doesn't really work in a formal setting. So the fact that you've made a little bit of an effort there, that is another check in the box for me. I would say, though, you read quite a lot, and that also led to your inflection within the words and the sentences being a little bit all over the place. Where was the emphasis? I didn't really know at some point, so that's something that you'd probably want to work on, whether it's practicing in front of a mirror or just continuously practicing it to smaller audiences. I think just knowing when to emphasize a certain part and stress on certain parts of a word or a sentence, I feel that's a really key thing to work on.
Thank you.
I felt that, yes, your image is spot on for a formal conference. I felt your delivery, though, it felt like you were hosting a variety show. Yeah, everything was very like, do you know this? And yeah, it's captivating and exciting. So I didn't feel the groundedness or the formality that was required of a formal conference. So I think that was something that you need to place your mindset, your perspective just in the correct bubble. Yeah, so I think that really then just affected everything else that came along, the inflections, the reading of the cue cards quite a lot. It felt like a train just going and going and going, and I didn't have enough time to breathe and to just absorb what you were trying to say. I felt like you're trying to get us excited. That's what I felt, and I think that it's not really appropriate for a formal conference.
Hi, Claudia. I think you could have delivered your script in a more dynamic way, yeah, and do have appropriate pauses so that the audience will have time to have the information sink into them. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Good
so
job.
much.
Thank you so much, judges, for that feedback. And thank you so much, Claudia, for coming on down for postscript.
Thank you.
Now, we have 19 semi-finalists, and we've just seen the 9th one, so there are still 10 more people to go, so do be sure to keep on watching on the live stream. With that, let's introduce our next contestant, Gloria.
Nice, the Korean pronunciation is on point. Thank you so much, girls, for your astounding performance. Now, audience, be sure to stay tuned for their performance because they not only can dance, they can sing as well.
Multi-talented queens.
To our distinguished delegates, partners, and many of our new friends coming from all over the world today, welcome to the Tourist Sector Conference 2023. My name is Gloria Yuan, and I'm incredibly honored to be your MC for today. I just want to say that it's such a refreshing chance to see so many faces in the room with me today. Last year, our international attendees had to join us virtually due to COVID-19 travel restrictions. And so sets the perfect stage for this year's theme, setting our sights on the future in a post-pandemic world. As you know, the Tourist Sector Conference is organized annually by our National Tourism Board, and it's a collaborative platform to discuss strategies and opportunities on how we can ensure long-term sustainability and growth in this industry. What do your conversations look like today? Are they about work? Or are they about traveling? Many of the conversations we have today have shifted from our worries about COVID-19 lockdowns to dream destinations we hope to check off our bucket list. Gone are the days of swab tests and masks, and we usher in this new era where airports are busier than ever. As a result, Singapore, like many other countries, has seen major economic growth. With recovery underway, we have our sights set on the future of tourism. How can we tap into post-pandemic tourism trends to ensure long-term and sustainable growth? Today, we are pleased to have among us the National Tourism Board and our esteemed delegates from the Urban Redevelopment Association and the Sentosa Development Council. They will be sharing with you their insights on post-pandemic trends and their exciting plans to create vibrant spots and activities that you can look forward to. There will be a live Q&A at the end of the speakers' presentations, and we welcome you to share any questions for our speakers by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our speakers. Ms. Zheng Yino, the CEO of the National Tourism Board. Over the years, Ms. Zheng has held several key positions in the NTB. In her role as CEO, she fiercely leads the NTB and works tirelessly with her team to further increase Singapore's presence on the world map. Next, we have Mr. Brendan Yeo, who has been the CEO of the Urban Redevelopment Association since 2017. The URA is Singapore's national planning agency, responsible for the physical planning and urban development of Singapore. Mr. Yeo was formerly the Chief Planner and Deputy CEO of URA from 2009 to 2017. He has extensive experience in urban planning, implementation of land use policies, and development initiatives. Lastly, we have Ms. Wu Kaimang, who assumed the appointment of the CEO of Sentosa Development Council in 2020. Previously, Ms. Wu was the Executive Vice President of the Singapore Economic Council, overseeing their global customer experience, marketing, and investment facilitation activities. She has also led corporate-wide initiatives to catalyze new business creation and innovation in large companies. Let us put our hands together to welcome Ms. Zheng, Mr. Yeo, and Ms. Wu up on stage.
Thank you so much, Gloria, for that introduction that you had. Now, our judges will be given a little bit of time to write down their comments, but let's have a little bit of chit-chat between you and me. So how are you feeling as a contestant, as a semi-finalist here at Postscript?
I'm actually quite excited because I didn't expect myself to go so far in a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No worries about that. I think that your talent and the hard work that you put in really has pushed you forth and see how far you've come here today. Now, I'd just like to ask, how is it like as your first... Oh, I think our judges are actually ready, so here's your comments from the judges.
Hi, Gloria. Hi. Okay, I love how you balance script reading with your gesture. So well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Gloria. Great opening. I like your bright smile, very nice greeting the audience. Good voice projection as well. I like your diction, your enunciation was clear. I think just one thing I will say is, sometimes you ask questions to the audience. So instead of looking up and look at them, because you're getting them to think about a question, right? Yeah. So look at them. Work, life? Yeah, just that one point.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
What's up with the sneakers?
Sorry, because the dress code was semi-formal.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're wearing a suit. Like, if you go to the nines, right? And then I look down and I'm like, okay, points for color coordination. But like, even if it's semi-formal, a nice pair of shoes go a long, long way. And I think you could see it in Claudia's outfit, right? Like, it's not like she was wearing super formal shoes, but they were very nice sandals that matched the outfit. Okay, you've gone super formal to your ankles.
Yes.
So please, try. Okay. The other thing I would say is try not to use paper if you can. Cards work a lot better. They're a bit more formal, a little stiffer, a lot less easy to get crumpled, and just lends a slightly more polished look. But I will echo the sentiments of everyone else. Your diction, your projection, your enunciation is great. You have a beaming smile. You bring a lot of energy, and I really enjoyed listening to you. Your pace was good, which I also thought was great. And you were just really engaging. I could listen to you. I could listen to you for a long time and not get bored. And that's saying something. So, yeah. Well done.
Thank you, judges.
Thank you, judges, for all the comments. And thank you so much, Gloria, for coming on down to Postscript.
Thank you.
Now, with that, we'll be moving on to our next contestant. The next contestant that we have is Rita.
Communication is really the key. Okay, let's move away from the stressful challenges, difficult questions. We will ask you guys a fun question that me and Gloria, my co-host, really want to know.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow enthusiasts of the digital age. Welcome to the 23rd Global Annual Conference on Social Media and Society. My name is Kutsupirida, but you can call me Rita, and it is my pleasure to be your host for this afternoon. On behalf of the team, thank you for taking the time to join us today. The theme for today's conference is the evolution of social media and its rippling effects. Together, we will explore the humble origins of social media and how it's dominated our lives and online interactions. Beyond that, we hope to ignite conversations on how the constant connectivity that social media has propelled impacts our state of mind. Social media has influenced our perceptions of reality, self-identity, mental well-being, and even culture. But social media has also allowed me to be kept up with my friends' love life, so even though they're miles away. So I hope that everyone is excited and ready for the intriguing conversations that our panel discussion will bring to you. Our amazing panel of esteemed speakers will give you an insightful and thought-provoking discussions on the ever-changing landscape of social media. Now, before we begin, allow me to run through the programs for this afternoon. First, we will have an opening address by the President of the Global Association of the Social Media and Society. After which, we will invite our panel of esteemed speakers who are founders of big tech giants to discuss the development of social media from its social and technical standpoint. We will also be touching on the current and latest regulation on some of these social platforms. This panel will be moderated by the head of LinkedOut, Mr. Sean Cabello. After that, we will have a 1-hour tea break and networking session that will be followed by another exciting panel discussion, where this time we will explore the impact that social media has on the construct of our society. In this session, we will also be interested in reviewing the influence that some of these social platforms have on the mental health and emotional well-being of our young generation. This panel will involve experts and psychologists from around the globe and will be moderated by Dr. Anastasia Kennedy, the psychology professor at Howard University of Social Science. Finally, we'll wrap things up with a delightful dinner where you can continue pondering on the different perspectives that were raised during the panel discussion. Without further ado, I would like to officially welcome the person who has contributed largely to this event this afternoon. He is a Harvard University graduate. He is an award-winning business owner. He is an activist, a philanthropist, and is now the president of the Global Association of Social Media and Society. Please join me in a round of applause to welcome Mr. Jackson Liu up on stage to give his opening address. Mr. Jackson Liu, please.
Thank you, Rita, on that introduction of social media. Almost forgot and slipped up there. But before our judges give their comments, let's have a little bit of a chit-chat between us.
Yes.
So how did you prepare for your introduction segment? Social media is a bit more of a not personable, I think more personal, yes, a bit more of a personal topic. So how do you prepare? How do you balance between the personal and the more informative parts of social media?
Oh, yeah. So after I got a topic, I, of course, go up online and search about it. I also looked up some hosting about social media where I can take note from what they talk about and their structure for introducing the speakers. And also, I got some really nice tips from my mentors as well. So that was really, really helpful.
I see. So it's a bit of a mix between like yourself and also a lot more from your mentors as well, and
Yes.
as well from online. I think that was really, really helpful. And with that, I think our judges are ready for their comments.
All right, I'll go first this time. Rita, I think a fairly good job. I could understand you clearly all the way. I just wish that you could speak up just a little bit more and just slow down just a little bit more also. And I like to talk about the image as well. Could have just more formally, more fitting of the occasion. And I think something very small that might go a long way is just to put your hair back, because it was there was a little bit of a fringe covering the side of your face. I thought it was getting to your eye just a little bit. It's a small little thing, just clipping it behind the ear or something would have helped a long way. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Rita. Yeah, I echo what Joshua thought speak about the dressing, all right? I saw you were there, and when Kelly spoke about the sneakers, you were like, looking at your own sneakers, right? Okay, never mind. I think maybe because the directives is actually semi-formal, right? Okay. I love your lively presentation, good pacing, and very, very smooth transition.
Thank you.
What I love most is how you're able to build the hype just before you deliver the speaker's name. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Well done.
Yes.
I think sort of going on with what Sylvia said, I really appreciated how you didn't follow the bog standard way of saying the name, telling us a little bit more about him, and then welcoming him on stage. You had this whole build-up about the speaker, and that made me a lot more interested to find out who it was and what it was going to be. Like, I really engaged with it. I thought it was good. I think a little bit fast. You could have slowed down with the general delivery, and looking at the timing as well, you still had about a minute to play with, so you could have afforded to just slow it down, pause here and there, let the weight of what you wanted to say sink in. And I don't think I need to say anything more about outfit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much, Frida, for your formal segment.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we are having our next male contestant up on stage. Let's welcome Richie.
I mean, definitely same as Ashmika. I think I've got two left feet when it comes to dancing. Unless I want to clear the dance floor, I probably need a tad bit more training when it comes to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow patrons of the arts, welcome to the SMU Arts Conference 2023. I'm Richie Chiu, representing SMU Broadcast and Entertainment, and I'm honored to guide you through this fusion of ideas and inspiration. Today, we stand at the start of a remarkable journey, a journey that encapsulates transformation and the boundless spirit of creativity. This year's theme of the conference, Post, beckons us to explore its diverse meanings, delving into the complexities of human ingenuity that shapes our world. As we return to the composition of ideas, insights, and inspiration, let's immerse ourselves in the enriching discussions of the SMU Arts and Culture Conference 2023. Curated to celebrate the intersection and connectivity of ideas, this conference draws inspiration from the theme Post and applauds the growth of culture in our dynamic digital landscape. Our celebration of arts and culture extends further. Allow me to introduce you to the theme Social Post, a spectacular showcase that perfectly captures the essence of connecting diverse worlds. Drawing inspiration from the Singapore, the Great Port City, theme of the Singapore Night Festival, the Social Post also salutes Singapore's vibrant evolution as a digital hub, where cultures and talents converge both physically and online. This showcase features interdisciplinary performances carefully curated to reflect the heartbeat of our digital age, influenced by social media trends. Throughout this showcase, we bring forth SMU's finest music and dance groups, complemented by remarkable talents of guest performers from partner institutions within the Brass Bazaar Bugis precinct, guided by the visionary Brian Lee. Today's gathering takes on an even more significance as we come together to honor a true luminary, Miss Adeline Teo. A luminary violinist and founding member of the illustrious Singapore Symphony Orchestra, Miss Teo's name resonates through the corridor of musical history. Her influence spans generations, leaving an indelible mark on the world of music. As a recipient of the Cultural Medallion, Singapore's highest artistic brilliance, she radiates a beacon of excellence and artistic beauty. Miss Teo's journey was nurtured under the guidance of her mother, Madam Ashley Teo. Her influence and achievements have been recognized at the highest echelons. In 2014, she was rightfully inducted into the prestigious Singapore Women's Hall of Fame, solidifying her legacy as a pioneer in the world of music and culture. Without further ado, let us invite keynote speaker, Miss Adeline Teo, up on stage to deliver her keynote address. Miss Teo, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Richie, for introducing SMU Arts Fest Post. I was a little confused because I realized that is the event we're also in. But let's give our judges a little bit of time for their comments while let's talk about you. So like, how's this get up? Are you very used to dressing up this way?
No, just for the competition.
I see. I think the formal segment is something not everyone is used to, but I think it's something that's really good that everyone gets to try. Now, Richie, I know you mentioned previously that you've done a bit of hosting. How is that different from the competition here?
The competition is a little bit more stringent in the sense that many of the metrics are actually taken into consideration, whereas just hosting itself, it's really on your own. No one points out your blind spots, and I think it's a good thing that people do point out your wrongdoings, and you can then course correct on the way.
All right, thank you so much, Richie. And with that, let's hear our judges' comments.
So congratulations on finding a suit. So I think we cannot give any of the ladies the excuse of, oh, it was smart casual. Although, that being said, I feel for your topic, you could have actually afforded to dress slightly more casually. So I think we need to look at the overall theme, and then we have to also look at look at the dress code and then look at what it is we're presenting and then try to match something there. So, but you look dapper, so that's fine. For some reason, you have this excessive lean forwards. So from your hips, you bend forward. And as a camera guy, I can imagine it would be really awkward, like trying to get the focus for you. So you might just want to be a little more conscious of your posture to stand up. I know it seems a lot more engaging to lean into the conversation, but it does strike as a little bit awkward at times. With regards to the delivery, you've got a lot of energy, a lot of passion, but sometimes the intonation, it was maybe sometimes a little bit too much. So you could have afforded to actually dial it back a little bit, which is a lot easier to do than trying to dial it up. So that's just something to work on.
Just to build on what Kelly mentioned, I also found the body language just a little bit awkward at times, leaning a bit too much forward. I found you kind of like shrugging also. I thought that generally speaking, you can afford to be much more still and let your audience come to you, engage them from where you are, with your eyes, with your words, with your tone. Like what Kelly mentioned, you have this sincerity, there's a lot of energy, a lot of passion coming from you, but I think that needs to be channeled. And I think with training, learning more technique, that can come through. Yeah, and then well done on your image.
Thank you.
Hi, Richie. Did you memorize the script in paragraphs? I can sense there's a lot of pauses along the way when you're delivering your script. And I echo what Joshua and Kelly say. Stand tall, don't slouch. How you deliver it, I find that it's a little bit more theatric. I find that you're like acting more than delivering the script as an MC. You might want to work on that point. Be more charismatic. Own the stage again. Okay? Meanwhile, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much, Richie, for coming down.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now with that, we'll be moving on to our next contestant. Next up we have is Isa.
So I'd just like to ask, within all of you here, who's the fashionista of the group? All right, 3, 2, 1. Whoa.
Oh, wait.
Whoa, whoa. There's
Okay,
a lot
I
of...
see.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2023 Global Tourism Conference. My name is Isa, and I'm delighted to be your host for this event. The theme for today's conference is Navigating Tourism in a Post-Pandemic Era. The COVID-19 outbreak brought the world to a standstill, reshaping not only how we travel, but also the very essence of what tourism means to us. It challenged the resilience of destinations, tested the adaptability of businesses, and redefined the expectations of tourism. As we gather here today, it is essential for us to know that we are standing at the crossroads of transformation. The pandemic was not merely a temporary disruption, it was also a catalyst for change that compelled us to rethink the way we imagine tourism. It has prompted us to address pivotal questions for us to move forward. For instance, how do we revitalize an industry that has faced this many challenges? What lessons have we gained about sustainability, innovation, and adaptability? And most importantly, how do we navigate the complex landscape of post-pandemic tourism? An exciting program will be with us today, so allow me to share with you what we can look forward to shortly. Today, we are honored to have a lineup of distinguished guests that has led revolutionary innovations by storm in the tourism sector. Delivering our keynote address would be Mr. Mark Jacobs, Minister of Hospitality and Tourism. Following that, we will have the Managing Director of Firecat, Mr. David Tan, CEO of Goggles, Ms. Amanda Lee, and Finance Manager of AFOX Hotels, Mr. Spencer Davis. They will be participating in a panel discussion centered around reimagining tourism in a post-pandemic era, a topic that is both multifaceted and highly relevant to organizations in the tourism industry. Together, we will uncover the ongoing trends and discover the secret formula of what makes your businesses relevant in the new normal. After the panel discussion, we will have the Creative Director of PAIR, Mr. Sean Liu, to open the physical floor and virtual floor to questions. And he will also end off the program by sharing with us his experiences on how AI marketing can help you develop your businesses to extend to a global outreach. To start off the evening, we will have Mr. Mark Jacobs, Minister of Hospitality and Tourism, and give his keynote address. Mr. Mark Jacobs is responsible for the policy making of Singapore's tourism and led the development of the new Innovation Center for International Tourism Collaborations, sharing his experiences and inspirations behind this, and also how he challenged himself to handle the challenges brought by the pandemic. Please join me to welcome Mr. Mark Jacobs.
Thank you so much, Isa, for that presentation that you just gave. Now, before our judges give their comments, let's have a little bit of a chit-chat between us. So how are you feeling as a first-year student, and how is it at semi-finals of postscript? Like, how is that, balancing those two things?
For me, I think that balancing the two was definitely not easy. I definitely underestimated what it took to be an MC, and I'm glad I had this opportunity to be in the semifinals to really experience the in and outs of the MC and the entertainment industry. Yeah.
So what have you learned from this journey then?
I would say I learned a lot about constructing my sentences and being comfortable in front of the camera. And also, I like to thank my mentor, Miss Jasmine, for giving me a lot of tips that really helped me on this journey.
All right, thank you so much, Isa. And with that, let's hear the comments from the judges.
Hi, Isa. Well done. You managed to follow how Kelly teach you, earlier on, how you hold a cue card. And you managed to use my distraction method, right? Put it down, Okay, that's great. Are you very nervous? Oh my goodness, you're shaking. Oh no. Okay. Don't be nervous. All right. Yeah. I feel that you have got to be a little bit more bold rather than sweet, especially when you're an MC on stage, and you have got to think ahead of whatever you're saying. I realize that each and every time when you finish a sentence, you have to look at your script again. It's fine to look at the script, but you should already have a little bit of inclination to know that what you will be speaking after this paragraph. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Isa. So now I know what's going on. Because I actually felt that, she seemed very confident. You know, she seemed very confident, and up till you asking her whether she was nervous, I didn't know she was nervous. But I think why I said that's because I felt that I wanted more from you. You were actually very nice to listen to. You have a good voice. You have a very nice pace, a good diction. I don't know why. At the same time, I just felt like I wanted something more from you, and maybe you were just trying to hold it all in, and that's why you weren't letting your personality just come out a little bit more. I felt that you were just kind of like, yeah, just there, and I need to do this. Let me just get through it quickly, nicely, and yeah. So perhaps that was that, and that there is no immediate solution for nerves. I'm also very nervous now, actually. It just comes with practice, just doing it more and more, and I believe that you've got a lot of potential.
Thank you.
I think what I was looking for was a bit more oomph. You have such a lovely smile, a very sweet demeanor about you, but I think it comes down to that presence and owning the stage. So the vibes I got from you was SQ girl. Like, you've got like a very sweet, polite demeanor, you know, like beautiful smile, very courteous, here to help you, here to tell you more, but I want a bit more authority from you. I think if you could give a bit more authority, I think you'd be great. So if you could channel that nervous energy that we didn't know existed until afterwards, because I couldn't tell. You just looked like you were going through the motions and you were very confident with your pace, and I thought that was great. So hiding it, like, amazing job, well done, fake it till you make it, whatever works, right? But what I want to see is you taking that energy and then channeling it by projecting it out a little more. You look lovely. The shoes let you down, but you look lovely. Like, I think you're great till the ankles again. I guess the camera's not taking a full body shot, right? So it's not so much of an issue. But honestly, really good. But again, that introduction of your speaker as well, jumping the gun a little bit. I felt like I should have applauded, but then you went on into a full introduction. So just be mindful of how you announce the name the first time round and how you lead the audience into that applause and the welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for the advice.
Thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much, Isa, for coming on. Now, we have seen 13 contestants here at the semifinals of Postscript. Now, semifinals, that means there were other rounds. There was a preliminary round, there was a quarterfinals that happened last week at the T-Junction, and we have the semifinals, which is 19 contestants, and next week we'll have the grand finals, where we'll have the top 10 contestants from this semifinal list, will be narrowed down to top 10 contestants, where they will be able to compete for the grand champion of Postscript 2023. But I'm talking about the positions, I'm talking about all these things. What is Postscript? Well, Postscript as a competition, Postscript is a competition for hosting, for MCing, and is done by SMU Broadcast and Entertainment, where we are trying to discover captivating voices, interesting personalities, and how they take on the stage, how they're able to give their own personalities on stage and to become event hosts just like us. Just like me. Oh my goodness. But what about Postscript as the word? We know the event, we know it's a competition. Oops. What about Postscript as the word? Well, Postscript, I learned this like last week when we were doing quarterfinals. Now, Postscript, we see here Postscript, right? It actually comes from the conventions of writing letters. Now, let's say I write a letter to a dear loved one. I say, dear mom, all right? Dear mom, dear Grace, dear Grace, who's behind the camera, dear mom, dear Grace, to anyone that I love, blah, 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 love, Nina. And then I realized I forgot to say something. There was something that I really, really wanted to mention in the letter, but I just forgot. And that is when you write P.S. By the way, I forgot about this little thing. I forgot I wanted to tell you this. Love you. These things that you add at the end is not just about the words in the script. It's not just about the letters and the content of the letter itself, like the letter that we have here. It's actually about what more can you add as a host? How can you show your personality, even with the restrictions of a script, even with the restrictions of what you have to say? Like as hosts, we have certain things. There's people you have to introduce. There's an introduction. You have to give context, and there's so many learning they have to be done. Like lots of conventions. How do you say certain things so that you know, oh, I'm introducing them, or how do you say it in a way that's a bit more professional, right? Not everyone has that natural ability to speak, but I don't think hosting is something that's a natural ability in the first place. I think hosting is something that can be honed, that can be trained, and it's something that a lot of people, maybe not everyone's style, but I think a lot of people can learn to gain something from at least trying out this competition and trying out how hosting is like. And that's what Postscript is really all about. You see, me as an MC, I didn't actually sign up for Postscript, or last year there was called Voice Personality Hunt. I saw it, I remember seeing the posters, I was thinking, I'm too scared, I don't think I could do it, but I think me joining SME Broadcast and Entertainment, which is the CCA running this competition, it really forced me to grow, forced me to learn so much about emceeing. There's so many different styles. In this competition, we've only introduced formal and informal, but within that, there's actually so many segments. You have like event launches, which is still formal, but sometimes it wears the coat of an informal event. You also have keynote speakers, you have more scientific things or more informational subjects. And I think there's just so much to learn about it. And that's just the formal aspect. Thinking about informals, you always have variety shows, you have maybe more school events and things like that. I think that there's so much to learn about the world of emceeing. And I think giving us a little bit of a sneak peek into how people do it and how our MCs do it is really, really good. And I think Postscript here, you actually learn that there's not one rigid way to MC, right? I think people have this image of like, oh, you need to be very loud, you need to be very extroverted. But I think, as we've seen from all the contestants that we've had so far, it's really just finding their own personal flair and how they can elevate themselves. And with that, we'll be taking a little bit of a break, and we'll see you really, really soon. Welcome back to the Postscript Semi-Finals 2023. Now we just came back from a short little break, but let's welcome on our next contestant, Melody. Seems that we have a little bit of a technical difficulty, but no worries about that. We see that Postscript, as those of you who are first-time watchers, those of you who came back onto the screen from the break, we have a hosting competition. And with that, I think we're ready? I think we're ready to start with our next contestant, Melody.
I'm feeling a little more confident. Just a little. Just a little.
A little. Okay.
We can be machines too. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Melody, and before I begin, I would like to thank NetTalk for giving me the opportunity to use my voice and share my thoughts and opinions with all of you today. Here at NetTalk, we discuss topics that people have been buzzing about on the internet. The topic I chose for today is the rising cost of living. Allow me to explain why. A few months ago, I came across an Instagram post that shared about ridiculous food prices, and one of the comments caught my eye. It read, "It's crazy how the price of a McDonald's vanilla cone has almost about doubled in the past few years." I'm sure we all share the same sentiments as this person. It really is appalling how expensive things have gotten. Now, to an average middle or high-income Singaporean, that may be all the rising cost of living is. Just appalling. But to people of low-income backgrounds, this is more than just another piece of news that you read in the paper. Luckily for Singaporeans, our government has taken the appropriate measures to assist those in need of financial aid. But is that enough? Is there more we can do? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, the cost of living is defined as the amount of money that people need to spend to buy basic goods and services. Now, the amount of money required is increasing, while the amount of money on hand may not be increasing. We already established earlier that there is a rising cost of living, and realistically speaking, there isn't anything we can do about that, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share with you something potentially life-changing that my team and I have been working on. I'd like to introduce to you Project Affordability. Project Affordability is targeted at households that may require more financial support. Its aim is to provide basic goods and services at lower prices with the intention of helping financially affected individuals adapt to the rising cost of living. What we have done so far is set up 3 stalls at hawker centers across the island to cook food just like any other hawker stall. Our meals are regularly priced, but if an orange or blue CHAS card is flashed, you will then be entitled to a 50% discount. At Project Affordability, we believe in the power of a community. Many generous donors have supported us by contributing monetary donations, as well as donations in the form of fresh produce and canned food. Even our certified chefs are volunteers. As its co-founder, I am extremely proud to share that although Project Affordability has only been in effect for 3 months, we have managed to impact lives and touch hearts. Just to share a little more with you, Project Affordability has plans to expand and cover other services like clothing, altering, and sewing services with the same concept. The rising cost of living is evidently very real, and it has burdened many people alike. That is why I humbly invite all of you to be a part of Project Affordability, be it as a donor, a chef, seamstress, or a volunteer. Distinguished guests, I would now like to invite my project partner to share more about joining our ever-growing community. She has been working diligently by my side to turn this project into a reality. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. Now let's put our hands together for Miss Adela Lim.
Thank you so much, Melody, for that formal segment on the rising cost of living. Now, as our judges are making their comments, let's have a little bit of chit-chat between you and me. So, how are you feeling? And I think I wanted to ask, how has your journey been from the beginning all the way to semifinals here today?
I think my journey has been great. I've met a lot of new people. I am very excited that I got to learn so many new things from so many different people. I also think that it is great that I got to experience all kinds of public speaking, hosting, so like formal, informal, and even conducting interviews, which is something I've never done before.
It's really nice that you get to try new things here at Postscript 2023. Now, I'd just like to ask, are you used to wearing this kind of attire?
Not really. As you can tell, this blazer is a little oversized. I thrifted it, so no, not used to it at all.
All right, no worries about that. With that, let's pass it on to our judges.
Now, the blazer might be thrifted, but I think you actually put everything together quite well. So even though you're wearing sneakers, they're black and therefore it fits. Like, I think it was okay. I do wonder, though, whether you might have misread the brief, because you were very much a speaker, not an MC or a host in the role that you were playing just then. So I do wonder, was that an intentional thing, or was that that's how you read it as?
I read it as like I'm presenting to a conference, so I'm sharing something that is something that I've been working on, which is related to the brief, which is the rising cost of living.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I think you speak well. You have a commanding presence. I love the overall look. Like, you've got a big beaming smile, you project well. So I think in terms of delivery, you do quite well. I think you were reading quite a fair bit, but you still made it flow, and I could still hear that they were your words, which helped quite a bit.
I echo Kelly's sentiments about when you first started. I had a question in my head: are you a speaker or the host of this event? But I kind of like, okay, let's just grade you based on your performance. So I kind of just put that aside and then just try to listen to you and see how you went. So I think you speak well. I like your attempts to have variation of tone and timing. There were moments where you tried to be dramatic, which I think kind of can work well as a speaker. But if you were a host, I'm not so sure. It depends on the situation. There's a lot of reading from your cards as well, and I think a small little thing was just your cue card management, how you hold it properly. It was dangling for quite a long time and that's it. Yeah, apart from that, well done.
Hi, Melody. I agree with what Joshua said earlier on. You're holding the script a little bit too high. Most of the time, you're reading it rather than delivering it with your own words or your own style. I agree with them too on, you were like advocating something, a movement, rather than being an MC. Maybe as an MC, you have to be a little bit more impartial, unless, I don't know, the conference, it's the theme is something that you have got to, advocate it, then maybe you have to go ahead with it. Yeah, if not, you have got to be impartial.
Thank you so much, judges, for that comment. And thank you so much, Melody, for coming on down. All right, with that, we'll be introducing our next contestant. Next up we have is Sarah.
Which is very good. Wait a minute. Haven't we heard this
sounds
before?
familiar. I am not a deaconess. I am.
Okay, let's clear that first. Okay, yes. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Digital Connection Expo 2023. I'm Sarah, and I'll be your MC for today. This year, the expo will be spanning across a total of 3 days. I'm privileged to be standing here to be your MC for the whole event from start to end. The Digital Connection Expo aims to showcase the many ways social media has shaped our lives through the decades. In this era of social media, many companies have strived to create online spaces that allow users from all over the world to make deeper connections with others from the comfort of their own homes. From the humble beginnings of internet chat rooms and blogging websites from the 1990s, and being able to join online groups and share multimedia content in the 2000s, and lastly, to video sharing and microblogging in the early 2010s, staying connected has only gotten easier through the years. Furthermore, social media bolsters inclusivity and diversity on and offline, as it provides a platform for marginalized groups to express themselves and find support in one another. But despite all that, social media is still a double-edged sword.
With how easily anyone gets to post anything online, this could lead to the spreading of misinformation and an alarming increase in cyberbullying. The Digital Connection Expo hopes to address these concerns through the seminars we have planned, especially for you, for this expo. Over the next 3 days, you can attend a variety of talks that we will be hosting, such as talks on how to professionally network with others through social media and how to form deeper connections with others online. We will also be hosting workshops to help train you on how to showcase the best version of yourself online. Not to mention, there will also be very informative seminars on how to identify and verify the fake news that you might come across online. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We hope that you will be able to leave with a few insights and a few more followers. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the first speaker of the evening. Our first speaker for this event is none other than Mr. Alan Tan, the CEO of Videogram, the newest and trendiest social networking site as of 2023. Mr. Tan will be giving a talk on how to connect the world through online spaces, and he will be giving his insights on how globalization has shaped the way we view social media as not only a way to share more about our lives online, but also as a way to connect with others across the globe with ease. Before I can invite Mr. Tan up on stage, he has also requested that everyone download Videogram right now to test out Videogram's newest Q&A feature. The Q&A for this session will be held on Videogram, so after the talk, be prepared to whip out your phones to ask any burning questions you may have. This concludes the opening address, and with that, let's properly dive into the program. Once again, my name is Sarah, and I'll be seeing you all tomorrow for day 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome our very first speaker of DCE 2023, Mr. Alan Tan.
Thank you, Sarah, for that segment on social media. Now, we're giving our judges a little bit of time for them to think of their comments, but let's have a little bit of chit-chat between you and me. So I'd like to ask, what is one word you could use to describe your journey here at Postscript?
Is it cheesy to say like wonderful? Because like everyone's been so nice, like from the crew to like even like my mentors, like Wei Ran and Tracy, shout out to you guys. Love you guys.
I think it's not a cheesy thing to say. I think that's a really, really good thing, actually, that you're able to find connections and people who are teaching you and making you have a really good journey here at Postscript. With that, let's hear from our judges.
Hi, Sarah. I think I don't need to speak about the outfit, right? It should be something formal. I feel that you have got to be a little bit more aware of where you're standing when you're on stage. I think you were way in front of the marking earlier on, and the camera woman was like, push back. but it's fine. Yeah, but you've got to be careful when you're doing a live event. You wouldn't want to fall off the stage. Yeah, sometimes when you're talking, you move forward. Okay, next thing will be, I love your enthusiasm, but it'll be good if you can turn down a notch. All right, that'd be great. And why is there a closing when you're doing an opening address? Is that the brief that was given to you, or?
Well, I was just trying to find a way to like properly end off my thing. It's just going like, okay, I need to end it, but I can't say, okay, this has like just to like pinpoint like, okay, this has been the opening address. Thank you for listening. But I didn't expect it to be so like okay, this is the end of the show.
Yeah, you sounded like that. So maybe you might want to work on that. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I think. Oh, there's one more part. You try to engage with me. You turn around and look at me, but you lost track of what you're saying for a minute. So just work on that. Okay.
Hi, Sarah. So echoing what Sylvia mentioned about the enthusiasm, I think the root of that is I think you need to be more in the bubble, the space, a headspace of a formal conference. You're coming off, or you came off more as a variety kind of host, so I think that enthusiasm fit a variety show more than what we require from a formal conference. I felt that you were reading your cards a little bit too much. And yeah, the wrap up was a little bit awkward. I think you wanted to conclude, right, your opening, your introduction, but just let it conclude, just let it end, you know. It ends when you introduce your next speaker, your first speaker up on stage. Yeah, so you don't have to tell everyone that it is ended, you know. Yeah, just let it happen. Yeah.
You've got a power stance going on. And you came out and very much like that. It was legs splayed, arms out like that. And I'm like, wow, she means business. But probably not in the best way right now. So I feel like actually your dressing plays a part. It will help you fit the tone and the mood a little bit. If you're in high heels, it's a little bit harder to do a power stance with your legs apart. If you're in jeans and sneaks, it's very easy to do that. So it's also about being in that same sort of like bubble that Josh was talking about. You've got to kind of remember where you are, even if you're in this sort of setting, you've got to remember what it is you're trying to portray. I think that's very important. I think your nerves came through a little bit, so there were a few missed parts here and there, but you also don't blink. So you were getting very intense, and I found myself willing you to blink. So as someone watching you, you're like, eyes open and very intense, and I'm like, okay, she needs to blink now. And I found myself blinking on your behalf. So just about being, yes, it's very, and then combined with the power stance, it's a little bit cray. So you just need to be a bit mindful of that, and just, yeah, interesting engagement at the end, but try not to introduce yourself right before you introduce your speaker. Yeah, that's it. But you were entertaining, to say the least, but it probably didn't quite fit the tone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, judges, for the helpful comments, and thank you, Sarah, for coming on. Now, with that, we have just a few more contestants in our semi-finals of Postscript 2023. Let's welcome on stage Ashmika.
That's such a sweet answer. And you know, because you talked about like how it comes naturally, I'm very curious to know, do you think that, you know, dancing is something that comes naturally, like people are...
Good afternoon, esteemed guests, distinguished panelists, and fellow students. My name is Ashmika, and it's my privilege to be your host today. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to the annual conference for AI in the 21st century. AI has seamlessly integrated into our lives, transforming industries, societies, and the way we think about technology. In an age where AI is no longer a futuristic dream, but a tangible reality, it's crucial to explore how it's shaping the way we learn, think, and interact. This year's conference is in line with current technological advancements as it revolves around education and modern technology. If we take a moment to think about it, AI plays a huge role in our day-to-day lives. It starts right when we wake up in the morning. You check your phone for notifications, and what do you see first? Face ID. The wonderful AI technology has become incredibly accessible and helpful in safeguarding our security. Even on social media, Instagram personalizes your feed and recommends you posts based on what you might be interested in. Or maybe you're like me, and Google Translate becomes your best friend when you're traveling. The AI landscape today is a testament to human curiosity, innovation, and collaboration. And over the course of this conference, we will be exploring the impact of AI and the incredible opportunities it presents us. With all this in mind, I'm sure you're excited to find out what's in store for you this evening. Today's conference will comprise 3 segments. The first titled, Empowering Education Through AI, which will be a sharing by Miss Rachel Smith that will look into the ways AI is reshaping the educational paradigms and fostering rapid change in the educational sector. Thereafter, we will have a 15-minute intermission so you can enjoy the scrumptious meal in the back of the hall. Next, we'll move on to the panel discussion with Mr. Edward Thomas, Ms. Hannah Anderson, and Mr. Andrew Scott, leading industry experts who will share more about AI in creativity and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that today's topics are highly relevant to our current landscape, and you can't wait to hear more from our industry speakers. So without further ado, let's get into our first segment for this afternoon. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce the first keynote speaker, Miss Rachel Smith. Miss Rachel Smith has dedicated her entire career studying the interplay of AI and education, as well as navigating impressive capabilities of machine learning. During her time at Cognitech Solutions, she spearheaded the product development of AI-powered tools that adapt to students' individual needs and guide them in their day-to-day learning. With 14 years of experience, Ms. Smith's work has not only revolutionized classrooms, but has also inspired countless educators to embrace the power of AI in the field of education. So let's embark on this journey of knowledge sharing, insightful discussions, and visionary thinking. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Rachel Smith. Ms. Smith, please.
Thank you so much, Ashmika, on your segment on AI. Now we'll give the judges a bit of time for their comments, but let's have a little bit of an interview segment between you and me. So what is the biggest thing you've learned through your journey here in Postscript?
I honestly feel like I've never actually thought of myself as an MC or a host. So just, trying out something new, something that I would have never even imagined, has been quite a life changer for me. And the masterclass which we had with, an industry professional, she really told us about how it's like being an MC. And it was so inspiring that, people can actually do this as a career full time and really enjoy it. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And with that, let's hear from our judges.
Hi, Ashmika. Hi. It is a pretty fulfilling career. It's really fun to do. And if it's something that you think you could see yourself doing, I think you should pursue it. You have a lovely demeanor about you. I feel like you could be slightly more commanding with your presence and your voice, but you come across as very easy to listen to. You have a big smile, and I think I'd noted that in your video as well when you were co-hosting. It's a big beaming smile. You seem really eager, and that comes across well. Your guest introduction had a little bit of a false start, mention the name, and then go into a big paragraph, so you want to clap, but not in the right time. So I think just a few tweaks on your scripting, and then you could be good. And just the card management needs to be a little smoother.
I agree with Kelly. You're very easy to listen to. I think you had a good structure in your script to tell the audience of what to expect. You have a very good tone. I think it was really good when you use personal examples and questioning the audience about what happens when you wake up, Face ID, and that kind of thing. Little things like that just help to make things more personal to them, and they'll be more engaged rather than speaking all the big airy-fairy sentences up there, right? So that was good.
Hi, Ashmika. Are you a singer?
How could you tell?
Because, yes, you were holding it this way. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you might not want to hold it this way. You'll block your face. Yeah, so hold it this way, but not too down. Yeah, you're great in making the information very relatable. Although most of the time you're reading it, you might want to try to memorize it or write it in point form. And you could have used more body language to deliver your script. Other than that, great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for that feedback. And thank you so much, Ashmika, for coming on to Postscript.
Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure. And it was so nice meeting you all.
Thank you so much. Now with that, we have just a few more contestants before we reveal who will be the next grand finalists of Postscript 2023. With that, let's introduce Min Eun.
That's right. And I've never been part of choir or any performing arts CCA actually. You could. Yeah. But so you've gone for vocal training. Do you have any tips to share with aspiring singers, shower singers?
Hi, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegates and industry partners. Thank you for joining us in Singapore this afternoon as we exchange, discuss, and propose ideas and plans to tackle the climate crisis in today's landscape. Some hot button topics are global warming, now coined global heating, deforestation, and sea level rising. The third Global Climate Change Conference is proudly organised by Green Champions Australia and Singapore's Ministry of Environment. My name is Tan Min Eun, and I'm extremely honoured to be your host over the next 2 days. Our Global Climate Change Conference was first held in 2014 with the intention to provide a platform for the exchange of findings from scientific research on the climate emergency by climate scientists and as well for climate activists from various fields internationally to fight against the climate change as one people. It's great to be able to meet everyone again. Our last conference was before COVID-19 struck. Can you even remember those times? This was hosted at the Netherlands back in 2018. The need for climate action has only become more pressing since. The program for today begins with our keynote address by our chairing organization. Green Champions Australia will be presenting their findings from the Climate Change 2022 Impacts and Mitigations report. The report gives an assessment of the impact of climate change in ecosystems, wildlife, and human communities at regional and international levels. Furthermore, it also provides an updated evaluation of climate change mitigation progress and outline gaps in decarbonization efforts. We may then effectively discuss actions to take accordingly in the panel discussions and breakout sessions to follow. Thereafter, we will adjourn to the dining lounge for Dine and Align networking session. That's the part we most look forward to, for tonight's dinner catered by Grand Hotel Singapore. After which, we will return to the main ballroom for our panel discussion on youth and climate action, moderated by Carbon Stop. There will also be a question and answer section with our panelists at the end of the sharing, so you may find out what it means to be a youth in the 21st century, growing up in a world battling climate change. You may scan the QR code on the screen for the program booklet. And now I'm delighted to introduce our guest of honor, the Singapore Minister of State for Environment, Mr. Joseph Chong. I am also very pleased to share that our keynote speaker, President of Green Champions Australia, Dr. Daniel James Ariston, has recently announced that he will be opening a Green Champions branch right here in Singapore. Dr. Ariston also sits on the board of directors of the Sustainable Earth Foundation and heads the reforestation arm of the International Climate Resilience Movement. Please join me in putting our hands together to welcome Dr. James Ariston, the president of the Green Champions Australia. Dr. Ariston, please.
Thank you so much, Min, for that formal segment. No, you can go in the middle, no worries. Thank you for that formal segment on climate change and the impacts that it had. Now, our judges will be having a bit of time for their comments, but let's have a little bit of a chit-chat between us. So how are you feeling right here for postscript? How is it as a semi-finalist?
Honestly, I didn't expect to make it here, and I'm just super tired because I didn't make time for the schedule since I didn't expect myself to get through. But I'm really glad that I got climate change as a topic because this is something that's actually, something I care about. And surprisingly, Kelly, one of the judges, I've met her before at the JP Morgan Corporate Challenge. It was a marathon, and that was why I decided to join the conference. This competition, because I was also inspired by her as a host. And so it's so nice to meet her again in person.
All right, that's so wonderful. There's such inspirations out there, and also, luckily enough, we get to meet their here.
Yes.
All right, but other than that, I'd like to ask, what's one word that you can describe for your journey here as an MC?
Definitely enriching. The master classes are not to be taken lightly. I love Kate Katanya for her master classes, and our mentors are just great. Like, seriously, how did they even find time in their schedule for us? What?
I think they just have a care for what we're planning to do. They have a care for all our MCs and how we can grow and change. And with that, here's the comments from the judges.
Thank you.
Hi, Mian.
Hi.
Hello. I think you're great. You display enthusiasm and confidence too. I can also sense the authenticity for you to try to connect with your audience. That's great. The only part that I find it weird is the part whereby you introduced Joseph Tong, right? There's such a name, right? And then I don't know whether to clap or not to clap. And I realized that, you're going to go on to speak about another chunk of, your script.
Oh, that was meant to be like a background, clap, clap sound in the background, like the computer generated, woo. But, that didn't happen, so.
Oh my God, that's a good comeback. Wonderful. Okay,
why there was a pause.
Okay, I'll pass it to Josh.
Yeah, I also was wondering whether that was what it was, because maybe the first guest would stand up and greet the rest of the conference, and then you moved on to talk about your first speaker, who's a different person, right? But it felt like a bit of a false start, so we didn't know what was happening. Generally, I like your formal tone. When you started off, it was very nice. The tone was very appropriate. There were moments where you broke out of that a little bit, which is fine per se. However, I found the contrast between that formal tone and revealing a bit more of your personality, the asides, just a bit too contrasting for me, personally speaking. Cue cards were a little bit messy, I felt. And I think you can stay put in your position more. You can be more still and just command the presence from there. Yeah, because you seem to be stepping at different spots around that spot a few times. So I was wondering what was going on there.
That was supposed to be intentional, but I guess it didn't come across enough.
Okay, yeah. Then I guess because it's not intrinsically motivated by a purpose, it felt very contrived. Yeah.
Thank you for your comments.
No worries.
Hi.
Hi.
It's nice to see you again. So I really like your voice.
Thank you.
You are probably the first female that we've had that has a bit more bass in her voice, which as a slightly bassier female, I like listening to bassier females. So it comes across for me a lot less jarring, especially when you're listening to a woman in a formal environment. So very often, if a female MC has a higher pitched voice, she has to work very hard to try and command that same sort of presence. You've already got that because you've got a slightly deeper voice. So work it, milk it. And I think at the very start, like Joshua was saying, you did quite well to deliver a very authoritative introduction. But it was that switch which sort of went, oh, hang on a minute, it just came across as a different person almost. And I actually wrote here, talking at us, very little engagement, but then I scratched out the engagement because you actually started engaging. So you maybe need to fine tune and find a way to be able to segue into a more personal tone, or at least dial back the personal tone so it's not quite so jarring. Effort for the outfit, I think so far you're probably the most put together in that sense, although I'd probably avoid a cropped pant. But aside from that, I would say that you fit those requirements quite well.
Thank you. I think we were told to wear semi-formal instead of formal, so I wasn't sure if I should wear the blazer, but now I'm glad I did.
No, it was good. It was a good call. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much, Minna, for coming on down. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, with that, we're down to our last two semi-finalists. Let's welcome on stage Kasin.
I have a white shirt at home, so I can join in. White noise. White shirt, white pants. White shirt. Let's go.
Warm greetings for the day, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? I'm Kasing, and a very warm welcome to everyone to the annual conference of Mental Health and Me, where we invite professionals to share their experiences and opinions on issues related to mental health. Thank you everyone for taking your precious time out to attend this event. It gives me much pleasure to invite you guys here today. Now, before we kickstart the event, please allow me to give a short speech in order to give a brief overview of the topic we are discussing today. This year's conference topic is the pursuit of happiness in the modern world. How many times have you come across the word happiness? Perhaps you've seen those pretty hardcover self-help books on display in Popular, claiming to teach you the ways of achieving sustained happiness. Maybe your social media feed is full of quotes, largely inspiring you to be happy. Or maybe you've definitely heard your parents say, I just want my children to be happy. Your company might have just announced they're hiring chief happiness officers and are introducing personal mood tracking devices. Did you know our government makes a huge hoo-ha for being ranked the 25th happiest country in the world? And as they have made sure to emphasize, that's 2 spots higher than last year. It feels like the pursuit of happiness has consumed the minds of everyone in this day and age, so much so that happiness has lost its original essence. Something elusive, unquantifiable, an emotion, a feeling.
Today, it has been transformed and reconstructed into something cold and mechanical, devoid of sentiment. Indeed, there's increasing emphasis on how happiness can improve the productivity of the workforce and in turn shape global economies and successful business practice. We are also no longer dealing with happiness in a philosophical or romantic sense. It has become something that can be monitored, measured, something that can be codified in World Happiness Report, something that is said to increase work productivity by 12%. And that's not all. The advent of social media has only exacerbated social comparison and the resulting desire to pursue happiness. Former Butt Book president described the platform as a social validation feedback loop and has mentioned that the like button was deliberately given in order to give a little dopamine hit. What this means is that people now associate happiness to superficial things like the number of likes, the number of comments, and we find ourselves stressing over how to garner more likes and followers. Gone are the days where happiness is defined as an inherent feeling, one that comes naturally. Rather, now happiness is a personal project each of us has to work on, like going to the gym to get a ripped body, or learning how to make up, dress up, or just learning how to do self-help books. And at the end of the day, we seem to lose ourselves in the process of relentless chasing. And many of us end up further away from what we are actually set out to do in the first place, finding joy. Now, how can we address this issue? Or the real question is, do we need to address this issue? Keeping these questions in mind, I would now like to invite our esteemed guests to give their opinions and views on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cousin, on that segment on the pursuit of happiness. Now, our judges will have a bit of time to think of comments and advice for you, but I'd like to talk about you specifically. How do you feel coming this far into the competition?
I think it's a very fun experience. It was so chaotic and I enjoyed every bit of it. The master classes was so much fun. Honestly, I came to master's classes at night and I was like, I'm so shagged. I do not know if I have the energy to do this. But wow, it's so fun. Like immediately my energy just went up. I enjoyed so much. The people here especially, they're so fun, so encouraging, and so supportive. And I just feel that the entire culture of MC is just really awesome.
That's really nice to hear from you. I would just like to ask, how did you prepare for your segment here?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
maybe just describe in simple ways, like how did you come up with the topic that you mentioned?
Oh, so we're assigned the pursuit of happiness, and when I first got the topic, I was like, "Ooh, that's such a cool topic," you know, because like I was a literature student, and I was like, I love to argue about philosophical things, and so I was like, how can I make this interesting in a way? And honestly, at the end of the day, I just chose to speak about what I feel is the pursuit of happiness in a modern age. Because I feel that, yeah, as I mentioned in the speech, it has transformed into something kind of artificial. So I'd just like to share that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Cousin. And let's hear from the judges.
Yes.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm a bit nervous. I feel like I stumbled a bit just now, but I'm feeling fine now.
All right. I mean, you could tell that you were slightly nervous, but you've got a nice voice, pleasant demeanor. But what I did find was that it sounded a lot more like a student presentation than an MC or a host commanding an audience to welcome them to an event. There was no introduction of your guest. So what's happening? What's coming next? We don't know. But it was great that you'd done so much research and clearly put a lot of thought into what you wanted to convey. But then it was very much what you wanted to convey about the topic as opposed to actually introducing what everyone else was going to learn from other people, not just yourself. So something to note just when you're creating your script.
I think that's a very important advice as an MC. Actually, I realize I tend to do that a lot. But before this, we had an interview, and my script for the interview was also very me-centered. But my co-host, Skylar, she taught me that we should direct our attention towards who actually matters, because as MCs, the focus is not for ourselves, but for others. So thanks for reminding me again.
Yeah, indeed. And to respond to that, the MC's job, basically you have to help the audience to understand what's happening. Yeah, so I got that feeling also, like, are you here as a speaker? I also wrote it down that I think you need to command more authority on stage as a host, because otherwise, yeah, you were just a student reading a lot from your cards.
That's true.
And technically speaking, also, like when you switch your cards, so you notice me doing this, the sound would just go weird. Sorry, guys, sorry. Yeah, so when you moved your hands with your cards, yeah, the mic also went away from your mouth quite a few times, so just have to pay attention to that. But what I liked were your questions, because you brought a lot of your personal and your passions into your content. It kind of came through, and that for me helped to engage me. Your questions that you were throwing to the audience, that got me more engaged, and that can be worked in. Just have to balance between still being the host for the event and not for yourself.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Cassie.
Hi.
I echo what Joshua and Kelly said, that you are like a student presenting your final year project.
Yes.
Okay, but if the script and the content is written by you, I think it's well done. It's very captivating and very enjoyable too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for the comments. And thank you, Cousin, for showing your personality here at Postscript.
Welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you, the judges, for coming down today. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And that we're at our last contestant, the 19th contestant here. Interesting name. Let's welcome on Nina.
And I think that we can be way too critical on ourselves. I think that you can never achieve perfection. So it was like a tough journey for me to realize as well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Artistic Symposium 2023, where we have come together to delve into a topic of paramount importance: arts and culture, diversity in Singapore. My name is Nina, and I am deeply honored to stand before you and be your host for today, as we embark on this enriching journey of reflection and exploration. Our theme for this conference, Arts and Culture, Diversity in Singapore, stands as a testament to the vibrancy that defines our nation's creative landscape. In a world that is increasingly interconnected, our artistic expressions have the power to transcend borders and unite hearts. This conference seeks to celebrate the unique blend of cultures, traditions, and perspectives that coexist within our island nation, fostering a rich tapestry of artistic endeavors that mirror the very essence of our multicultural society. In the spirit of unity and collaboration, we have an excellent lineup of sessions that will engage you in insightful conversations and captivating performances by our very own homegrown talents. So do keep your eyes peeled for them. We also have industry professionals coming down to run some interactive workshops that are also free of charge. These workshops aim to provide strong mentorships and career coaching sessions with regards to the local art scene. Throughout the course of this conference, we will hear from renowned artists, cultural experts, and speakers who have played an instrumental role in shaping Singapore's arts and culture scene. Their experiences and perspectives will provide with us a deeper understanding of how diversity has not only shaped their work, but also inspired others to appreciate the richness of our cultural heritage. Join us as we embark on this intellectual and creative voyage. We strongly encourage you to actively participate, share your thoughts, and build connections with one another. This conference is a platform for meaningful conversations, a space where ideas can be exchanged and friendships can be forged. Without further ado, I am delighted to introduce our esteemed guest of honor, whose remarkable journey in the world of arts and culture embodies the very essence of our team today, and we are privileged to have her share her insights with us. Coming from such a humble background, she inspires others with her unique journey in theatre, as well as a distinguished philanthropy in the arts and culture scene in Singapore. Please join us in welcoming to the stage the woman who is best known for her storytelling in national theatre productions, the one and only Miss Selena Davis.
Thank you, Nina, for that segment on arts, culture, and diversity. Now, before the judges give your comments, let's have a little bit of a chat. Nina to Nina.
It's nice to have the same name.
Nice to have the same name. I did not know that there was going to be with someone with the same namesake, but it's very nice to meet you. How are you feeling here as a semi-finalist at Postscript?
I'm feeling really grateful to be able to be here and really like hone my voice. I think it's been a while that I got to host in secondary school, and I just really enjoy like prepping for hosting and like just like crafting that stage voice that I can use. I don't usually talk like this personally, but I really do enjoy hosting.
All right, thank you so much for sharing about your hosting journey. And with that, let's hear the judges' comments.
Hi.
Hello, Nina. Wow. You're good.
Thank you.
You're very lively, and I love the way you smile to the camera when you're speaking. That's very, very captivating, and your intonation is great, your enunciation is great. I think the only thing they're lacking of is the engagement with the audience, but maybe because this is a live stream, I think your engagement with the camera is great, but maybe around with the live audience might be another thing to do. Yeah?
All right,
okay.
sure, thank you.
Great job.
Great job, Nina. I think you have a very lovely voice to listen to. Great smile, great opening. I kind of felt myself wondering, am I listening to an advertisement though? Because you sounded really good. But I pulled myself back also. I'm like, no, actually, this really, I kind of imagine big conference hall or something, or an expo or something, and then you're up on stage. I think that still worked. What I found was just a little bit too much was the pauses. Some pauses were good. There were just a few here and there that I felt, what's happening? And that's apparent in certain phrases that kind of got broken up a little bit, phrases that I thought could have been connected, but the pause was there. And I'm wondering whether it's because you were reading or maybe you were flipping a card or something like that. So just something to pay attention to. And I thought there was going to be a false start for the introduction of your guest. And I realized it's this phrase, without further ado, which you mentioned. And I thought that was the cue. Generally, it's just a cue for, okay, I need to clap soon. But then there was the whole introduction. So maybe I wish I could have told this to the others as well. That's a phrase that maybe leave it for the last, for when it's almost time to clap. That's it.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Echoing them, great smile, bubbly personality. I think that ad comment was quite poignant though. I felt like it was very bubbly to a point where I didn't or couldn't differentiate if I thought back on everything you were saying. There was no difference between sort of the introduction to a bit of the body to the introduction of your guest. So I felt like you could maybe dial it back for certain things and then ramp it back up, because you have got that energy. You've got this beautiful, vibrant energy about you that I think works really well. So I think that could use a little more fine tuning. I feel like you actually do better in casual settings just because of that. And it's like what you said just now, you don't actually talk like this.
Yes.
Right? So I would actually like to hear you speak like you normally do, because if I heard you, like you were one of my highest rated, I think, from your co-hosting interview session, just because of how you came across so naturally. I would like to hear more of that. I would like to see the side of you. It's like, you know how some people have a radio voice? Some people have an MC voice. You don't need that. You just need to be you, because when you are you, you are your most genuine, authentic self on the stage. And that's what people will engage best with. So I would like to see that side of you. And I think that it wouldn't take much to get that out of you, because you've got a great foundation. I'd like to see more.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges. And thank you so much, Nina, for coming down to Postscript 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard the 19 semi-finalists of Postscript 2023. But of course, semi-finalists isn't the actual end goal of this. We're actually waiting for the grand finals of Postscript 2023. Only the top 10 MCs will be moving on to the grand finals, which is happening 1st September 1st September at the Big Steps, which is opposite Canteen Bistro, also known as opposite Starbucks. If you're not sure what Canteen Bistro is, if you need another place marker, it is also by the school gym. This is happening 1st September, 8 p.m. Now, 1st September, I understand it is voting day, so do be sure, like maybe if you're free in the morning, you do your voting, and then you can come back down here to SMU at the Big Steps in order to catch the grand finals of Postscript 2023. Now, we'll be giving the judges some time for their deliberation as they decide and pick who are the top 10 of the top 10 finalists that we'll be having on for the next round of this competition. But we're actually so grateful and so happy for all the people that got to participate, got to learn, got to grow as MCs, and as just speakers in general. I think this is something of a skill that's very important for all of us to be here learning today. I think even me sitting at the side learning, I'll get to learn more from the comments from the judges as well, not just particularly to them, but also to me and my MC journey as well. So I think that Postscript is not just for the contestants. I think it's really for everyone here, everyone listening, everyone watching. I think this is something everyone can learn from. Now, SMU Arts Fest is what Postscript is under. This is one of the 6 productions that we have here at SMU with the theme of Post. Now, I think I've mentioned earlier, but for those of you first-time viewers, Post has many, many meanings. Post can be a noun, like a gathering point for exchange, for trade, ideas and perspectives. Post can also be like a verb. I think nowadays we more likely post on social media, even though you see like posted letters behind here. I think the times have changed, and I think life has really been different with more technology. And not only that, post can also be a prefix, like post-pandemic, post-human. This is when usually we have key transformative events happening. And not only that, I mentioned earlier, this was only one of 6 productions under SMU Arts Fest 2023. We actually have so many more productions that are not just happening like around town and around SMU, but right here tonight. After this, we actually have the social post happening at Campus Green. Not only that, we have Me, Myself, and AI, a multidisciplinary exhibition. After that, we have Love and Information, a stage about love and connection in a post-truth world. MMRS, a all-alumni street dance production, as well as Beyond Human, a contemporary dance done by SMU in Density. So there's so many things happening here at SMU, not just Postscript, but SMU Arts Fest 2023. So do be sure, all of you watching, all of you here today, do be sure to check it out and be there soon. But with that, let's take a short little break before we find out the grand finalists of Postscript 2023. Up there. Okay. Let's welcome on Miss Kelly.
Oh, hi. I think it was really insightful to see so many young, budding, up-and-coming MCs. There was a lot of
Well, firstly, I just want to thank everyone for having me here. I feel very honored to be a judge on this panel, and it's been a wonderful experience just to see so much talent from SMU. I was from SMU, and I'm just very heartened to see so much talent, and so many people trying to hone that talent to a lot of. I hear there's lots of master classes that happened. So a lot of education going on and chances for people to shine and find their passions. I'm just very glad for that.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Joshua, for that final comment. And with that, let's see who will be our top 10 grand finalists. We have our chairperson of Postscript giving the envelope for the results of top 10. Let's see. Let's welcome on stage Charlotte, the chairman of Postscript. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Okay. This feels like a very Steve Harvey situation where I can open an envelope. I think this is very exciting. So let's see. We're a big piece of paper. All right. Okay. So these are the names of your grand finalists in no particular order, by the way. The first we have is Tianning. Next we have is Yuhana. Next up we have is Ethan. Next is Dawn. Next up we have is Gloria. Next is Isa. Next is Melody. After that is Ashmika, Min Eun, and Nina. With that, ladies and gentlemen, these are your top 10 grand finalists for Postscript 2023. But of course, this isn't the grand finals. The grand finals is next week on September 1st at the Big Steps, 8 p.m., which is opposite Canteen Bistro, opposite Starbucks, right beside the gym. So for all of you there who are free on 1st September, I understand it's polling day, but do be sure to come down at 8 p.m. to catch and see who will be the grand champion of Postscript 2023. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. I'm Nina. I've been one of the hosts for you today. And thank you, and see you all at finals.